Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
No, this isn't the right one. I don't know why this isn't the right one.
No, that's
yeah,
pretty funny.
I am just
honestly.
a genius. All right. But
10 out
aside,
of 10, no notes.
guys, all I'm saying is make sure when you go to your LCS, you know what you're looking for. Otherwise, you'll go to the shop multiple times over 4 months, look at exactly what you mean to buy, and just blank on it because you're dumb. That's all. Anyway, what's not dumb is that we are here. It is Thursday night. We are back for another foil variant. Look at us on time. No real tech problems. Nobody saw the fact that it went to the solo bubble first instead of both of us. But yes, we are back. Andrew is with me. I am here. We are both in fighting shape. My voice is better. I might be a little hacky as we go in through the night, but it's better than not being able to talk at all.
Better than not having a voice at all, which was last week towards
Yeah,
the end of the stream. Like
man.
2/3 of the way through, your voice started to...
And
it's like, oh man, that's rough.
It hit that, and I was like, we can get to the end. Like, we can do this. We can get to the end. As soon as you and I like signed off and said goodnight, I went to go talk to my parents, and they were like, "What happened to you?" And I'm like,
"What's wrong with your voice, bro?"
I don't know. But
Yeah.
yes, I luckily have healed up enough, and we are both here. And it's good. It's a good thing we're both here because this was a pretty big week for comics, especially for comics we read here on this channel. Obviously, we got another absolute Batman. We got another amazing issue of Uncanny X-Men. And we got, well, guys, we got Supergirl #1. We finally got the return of Kara to her own solo book. And guys, like you might have seen my tweet, but normally you're used to me running the show, me babbling on and on. This is Andrew's time to shine. If you guys know him and Supergirl, it's going to be his show tonight. So I'm really excited. I want him to lead this discussion. There's going to be a lot to talk about, but there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, there's going to be some laughs. So before we get into anything, enough with my rambling. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, man. It's been a good week, but a busy week as always. But, you know, we had some good comics this week. We had some comics this week as well, as it tends to pan out. It's rare that you're going to have a little bit of everything. It's rare that you're going to get all bad or all meh or all great. It just doesn't happen. There's been maybe 1 week where I think we were just both kind of like, everything this week was just kind of
Yeah, like what are we going to talk about? Yeah.
It's only happened once at this point. But beyond that, it's pretty consistent to have a mix of stuff, which is why you hear us praise some books every week and why you hear us kind of be like, I don't really know about this one, and why you will consistently continue to hear us say, guys, I don't know if I want to keep reading this one. You know, we will say that when we reach that point, and we have done so a few times already. So
we've done so a few times already. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we might have, unfortunately, another candidate already walking that tightrope. But before we get into any of that, we still do have some really good stuff. We have one particularly awful thing that I will talk about for 1 second, just when we get done with all of this. It does not deserve more than that, but I want to make sure we all recognize this moment in history. I know you know what I'm talking about. But before we get into any of this, anything that happened in the comic industry this week, let's say hi to everybody who's hanging out with us tonight in the chat, starting with Chuck. What is going on? He was the first here. Boomer nothing. That was a 1 second blip to the wrong screen. We are here. All of our audio is fine. I'm taking this as a win. Nobody's taking your asterisk here, Chuck. When you put us in the record book, we're not having the Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa asterisk on us, all right? This is real victory. Chuck also says, so much non-Big 2 came out this week. I don't really read a lot of the non-Big 2, and I know that sounds so bad, that makes me sound like such a consumer, but I was reading a lot of the Boom Power Ranger stuff. That all kind of fizzled out. I know I have to still get into the Geiger stuff, what is that called? The Ghost Machine stuff.
Yeah, Ghost Machine Universe, yeah.
And then of course with Witchblade, which Andrew loves, and I know we got a new issue of it this week.
Which I didn't have time to read yet.
I know, which is so unfortunate because
I'll read that like right before I go to bed.
That's a good way to go out, or to like drift off to sleep with Dreams of Sarah. I will tell you though, Andrew, I did read more Witchblade. I am now.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Where did I get to? Oh crap. Where did I? She is God. It's a lot of like I'm in the middle of the arc where she's like, they're doing a lot of the flashbacks like to the pirate lady, but then they're intercutting it with like the modern day thing, and it's sort of like Sarah getting her bearings again, just sort of like she's like getting yelled at for everything that just happened in the last arc, and so she's like,
this is the stuff that happens immediately after the fallout with Kenneth Irons and all of that.
Yeah, Kenneth Irons. Yep. Oh, and she's she's fighting the guy who looks like Ian, and she's like, what is that guy? And that's as far as I've gotten, but I have made progress.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Slow but steady.
I'm doing it for you, Dad. Doing it for you. But yes, what if there's anything you want to highlight, Chuck? Let us know. I do know the new like Captain Planet reboot just launched like last week. That
was last week.
I have no idea if anybody's read that. I've heard nothing about it.
I saw one post from I forget who, to be honest, and I immediately scrolled past because I didn't even bother reading what the post was. I'll be honest, there's not much you could do to get me interested in a Captain Planet comic. Like, I don't care, like, if it's got the world's greatest writing or if they're just, like, piggybacking off of the campiness of the old animation.
Right.
Or if they're writing something that's, like, super, Greenpeace preachy. I really don't care. I don't care about Captain Planet. I have no interest in this.
Like,
I couldn't have less interest in this.
I couldn't even tell. We have seen, and by the way, Andrew, I do have a page of it up because I did hook my Pakistani guy did hook me up with it. I just didn't really care to open it yet. Like, we've seen revivals of nostalgia for like He-Man, Barbie, Transformers, G.I. Joe. I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life who says, oh yeah, I'm a fan of Captain Planet. Like, oh, that was one of the characters I really, really liked. Outside of, that was a show I watched when I was a kid.
Like Don Cheadle, man.
Hey, look, that would be better than whatever I'm looking at here, okay? This is one of those weird things where you're trying, remember in the like mid-2000s when every, like Funny or Die and everybody were doing those parodies of like children's stuff, but they were super serious? That's exactly what this feels like, and it should have Don Cheadle, and it's weird, but yes, Captain Planet's one of those things. None of us read it. That's the only other real indie book I know that's being published right now. I know there's Spawn and all that stuff, but I don't know anything about that world, unfortunately. Let's see. We've also got freaking Punk. What is going on, Punk? How are you doing? Always a pleasure to have you. How was the independent or the indie wrestling show you went to, and I know you went to a Comic-Con on Saturday, so get anything cool? Did you have fun? Let us know. And let's see. Chuck is angry now. He's saying we're gonna have to get him up here. He's rising from his chair even though it's nap time. I know Andrew should have read Witchblade. I was stunned that he didn't as well. But hey, sometimes when we're
did
adults,
not have time.
we just can't hit it. Well, I didn't get to hit Ultimate X-Men. That's just sort of where we are, right? But
yeah,
we
I
make
always
sure to hit
prioritize knocking out the books that we talk about consistently
Absolutely.
here that we, read in tandem. So, if I have to put some books off to the side, Witchblade is usually among those, just because we don't really
Right,
talk
exactly.
about it here outside of you just being like, "How was Witchblade this week?" and me answering, "It was pretty damn awesome," and then we move on.
And then we
Like,
go.
That's basically what happens.
I'm gonna make a graphic that's like Witchblade-o-meter, and like every was this a good one? Ding 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 ding. I'm gonna do it. Let's see. Punk says he has picked up the Wacky Races one shot. I didn't even know that was a thing that was coming out. Daredevil 21, Witchblade 11, Carol Danvers variant of the Alex Ross X-Men. I know you picked that one up, Andrew, and he hung it on his wall. That's what I like to hear. I wish I had more wall space to hang up all my stuff.
I did pick up that one. My shop didn't have it.
Oh,
remember?
Shit! I didn't look for it. I totally blanked. Right. I only got your Supergirls. I'll go back to tomorrow and I'll look for it again. I know my shop will have it, because unless it's one of those, absolute Batman #1, they're not. Oh my God, they're not selling out. And that actually just reminded me, and it's a really good segue here into the one thing I wanted to talk about really, really, really quick. Guys, I'm kind of okay with the industry falling, because this week we got Gwenpool #1. It finally happened. Marvel has officially revived Earth 616 Gwen Stacy. This book, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this book, because they're in the interest of being in the interest of being intellectually honest, there just isn't a lot to talk about in this book. It is really just sort of the opening 10 minutes of a show right before it cuts to the intro credits. So you meet your characters, don't really know anything that's going on. Aside from that, it's really just a bad book. And the two things I will highlight about how bad it is.
This is my shocked face.
Look at that. Look at this man. He is stunned. We did not see this coming at all. But guys, this is a book that sort of epitomizes what's wrong with Marvel right now. Or, you know what? It's not even what's wrong with Marvel now. This really feels like a microcosm of like 2017, 2018. Because if you guys remember, when Gwenpool was introduced, she was initially like a Deadpool parody, right? She was breaking the fourth wall. She was making all these jokes. Eventually, Marvel realized, like, that's really wearing thin on Deadpool. We don't really need two characters doing it. So they retconned her and they said, oh, she's just a human, or she's a mutant actually with reality warping powers. She doesn't know it, but she's like from our world and she got warped into the comics. So now she's just sort of a regular girl in the Marvel world, right? And she's been that way for a couple years now.
She's basically just a cosplay girl at this point.
Actually, that's a really perfect way to put it. That's really, really true. Because technically her powers, she doesn't even use them. So she's just using guns and swords. But yeah, so she, it's not that she became a great character when that change happened, but she became a fine character. As Andrew and I were saying, in the pages of It's Jeff, that's exactly where she belongs. She's cute, she's adorable there.
That is her pocket, and she's fine there because Jeff makes everyone better.
Jeff, there are moments in this book where I'm like, damn, this is there's a Jeff moment, and there's a Jeff moment in this book, and I almost shared it to you, Andrew, but I was like, I can't go to him and say, like, this is the only thing good out of Gwenpool. He's gonna go, no way, like, I don't believe you. But where was it? Oh yeah. Oh no, I think I did send it to you.
You sent me this page.
Yeah, where Spidey's being beat, and he's like, it's just you and me, Kate, and she goes, you, me, and where'd it go? Yeah, you, me, and Jeff, and he's like, oh right, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff does make everything better, but more to what I was saying. In this issue, for some reason, Marvel decided, oh, let's revert her back. And now she's your annoying fourth wall breaking Gwenpool, and it sucks. And it's like, what are we doing here? Nobody really liked this Daniel Way writing in the first place. And then, like, I'm stunned at how stupid this is. When she finally takes off her mask and reveals it's Gwen Stacy, she has her headband on. Like,
why would she have the headband on under the mask?
That's what I don't get it.
Like, is that supposed to like further cement to us that this is Gwen Stacy?
That's
Because
it.
we
That is
didn't
it.
already know that it was Gwen Stacy somehow? Because that absolutely wasn't your entire marketing and advertising campaign for the thing.
That was literally my thought to a T, Andrew. I'm just like, give her, give her the White Widow like battle braid or whatever. Just give her something that looks more like she's a soldier and not, hey guys, remember this? Buy this issue. But I bring this issue up, guys, specifically because when I was talking about number ones a second ago being sold out at shops, this book was one of those ones. My shop had 2 stacks of it, and their stacks run about probably 30 issues deep.
Mhm.
All gone. All gone. With the variants, all
That
the
hurts
variants,
my soul.
like so low. It was a stark thing. And here was my thought process, Andrew. I walk into the shop, I see your Supergirl, I grab your variants, I'm looking through the shelf, see if there's anything I'm missing, and I get to G, and there's a big old gap. And I go, oh, cool. Godzilla versus X-Men sold out. Good for them. Good for them. And then I see that right next to the gap. And I go, oh no. What came out? Oh no, that book didn't come out this week. Sure enough, here we are at the lowest point that Marvel could possibly be at. So buckle up, guys. We're probably going to be hearing more about this. Not that there's anything to talk about, but we have to just acknowledge that this bullshit's happening in front of our eyes. It's really, really sad. But that's all I've got for that. We do have Clone Geek joining us in the chat. Says he bought Supergirl on impulse. It was okay. Likely won't pick up next week. Battle Beast was fun though. Oh, that's right. I forgot the Invincible Battle Beast series came out. They had a bunch of those variants and stuff sitting on my shelf. Let's see. We also have here. This is what Chuck was talking about. Yes, the Gatchaman book. World Tree, Transformers, Flash Gordon, Huck, Invincible Battle Beast. So, yes, the Gatchaman book is out. That is something I would be interested in. I'm waiting for that to come out in trade. World Tree, I've heard good things. I've just never really gotten into. I don't even know what it's about. I just have heard it's a good book. You know what I mean? We've talked about the Transformers series here. You and I we like the Transformers well enough, but we're really not. I don't know. We're not.
I didn't grow up a Transformers kid.
Yeah,
it was after my or before my time. Just as with GI Joe, so I didn't grow up
Right,
with either.
same.
Like I might have seen. I could probably count on one hand the number of episodes of the old '80s cartoon I saw when I was a little kid, because I was busy watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men and
Yep.
Batman and Spider-Man and Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what I was watching, and Darkwing Duck.
Of course.
But I never got into it. So between that point of me seeing like 5 episodes and when the first Michael Bay film came out, I consumed 0 Transformers. So I saw the movie and I was like, all right, well, that was
cool.
fun. Well,
Yeah.
it's cool effects, cool animation, spectacle, whatever. It did what it was supposed to do. It was a fun popcorn flick, and that was that. But yeah, I'm not the guy to go out there and buy the comic. Now there have been some incredible writers on the comics over the years. Chuck Dixon wrote some Transformers comics.
Yep.
But I don't have enough interest in Transformers as an IP to care.
Yeah. I mean,
I've heard that the what is it? What's the publisher?
Skybound, the
Skybound,
Kirkman
yeah,
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that book is fantastic, and Transformers fans, new and old, are super happy with it, and I couldn't be more over the moon for them.
Right.
That it's great.
I
And they're
mean,
enjoying it. I just don't personally care.
I know that first it's either like Transformers 1 or Void Rivals number 1, which is one of those series, like the Transformers series. One of those is like it got like a 10th printing, which is pretty damn nuts. Like it was going neck and neck.
Transformers.
Yeah, it was going neck and neck with Ultimate Spider-Man for a while, and I was like, that's good for you guys. Like that's really awesome. On my end, I'm exactly like you, Andrew. It was a little bit before my time. I do really, really like Beast Wars because that was right for our time.
You know what? I did watch Beast Wars. I didn't see all of it, but I would watch it if I caught it.
Right, exactly. See, for me, that was one of the ones I was really into as a kid, so I really like all of that stuff. If you do a Beast Wars comic and I see like animals transforming into robots, I don't know. That's a little cooler to me than like a sedan. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I'm glad you guys are all getting really good books out there. we will. I feel like at some point, maybe down the line, we'll do like an indie, no big 2 stream or something. But to get there, I have to catch up on Witchblade first. So
we'll do like Indie Week.
Yeah, Indie Week. That'll be
or
actually really
like.
cool. Well,
Yeah,
we'll do
like
Week.
an Indie Week.
We'll do Indie Week, and then we'll highlight a bunch of books. I still want to do like a proper like check out this Kickstarter at the end of the show at some point. But I got to set up.
I'd like to do a focused episode at some point that's on like, I don't know, active Kickstarters and stuff like that. I think that would be fun, and giving a shout out to the people out there who are kind of doing it on their own. Because
there's a lot of cool stuff coming out there. Vaughn's comic, I've been catching a lot of his preview pages, the Phenomenova. That thing looks really cool. I think I'm gonna go in for it.
You should do it.
I'm excited.
Do it. Grab issues 1 and 2 are available on his website.
Yep.
I remember last immediately.
Week. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm like, oh, I think I got to pull the trigger because it looks very, very good. But let's see. Oh, hey, what's going on? Subhuman is here. Subhuman says, so do the writers like the civilian identities or just the hero identities? Well, in the case of Gwenpool here, it's they're banking off of both. Like, you know what I mean? They're banking off of the Gwenpool popularity, and then like, because she is a popular sort of meme character, especially with like younger girls, and then they're banking off of Gwen Stacy. So it's kind of like when they did Spider-Gwen, where they're banking off of the Spider-Man identity, but also you going, oh, that's Gwen Stacy. So I think Clone Geek here had it best. This book was an editorial decision. There's no way, or actually, I know this because we talked about this. This is an editorial decision because the writer on this book and the artist are not Marvel like regulars. The artist and they're both Star Wars. They're doing the Marvel Star Wars books. So they probably went to the people in the Marvel office and said, who wants it? And everybody went, no, that's career suicide to write the revival of Gwen Stacy in such a mean way. And they went, okay, let's go to the guy who doesn't care about having like a career in Cape Comics. It's really sad. But let's see. Clone Geek says, which was the Transformers show Dan Didio worked on? I don't know. I didn't even know he worked on one.
I didn't know he worked on one either.
If I don't have to like forcibly be exposed to his work, like when I'm reading a DC comic, I don't really care what that man is up to. I'm kind of glad he's gone, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. He ran a mostly organized ship on a technical side, but in terms of creative, he stuck his fingers in everybody's business way too often to push his own personal crap that he had against characters. And he's also the reason we got stuff like Identity Crisis and New 52, even though there were some good books in New 52, but the
vast majority of everything.
Yeah, the reason why New 52 was a massive issue was because of him.
4 Robins in 1 year, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, that's a hard sell, man. That's a hard sell.
That means they die. Like Jason dies, and Batman just goes to the pound the next day and says, "Give me a new one." So
just
ridiculous.
Goes to the puppy farm, basically, is what he does.
Yeah, pretty much. The Young Ward farm. I can like Dan Didio is one of those guys who I cite him in my like statement of stop letting divorced writers handle superheroes, because Joe Quesada, Dan Didio, Zeb Wells, like the minute you give these guys a superhero, they want to use it as therapy.
They ruin them. They deconstruct them.
Because they go, relate him to me.
As their freaking shrink.
And it's
exactly. And
go get a shrink.
Yeah, I get it. You work in comics, so you probably don't make much money, so you probably can't afford a shrink. But I don't care. Like, my superheroes are not your stand-in.
Exactly. Go find a solution. This one is not it. But let's see. Aside from all that, what do you say we get into stuff we actually wanted to read this week?
Let's jump into some books.
Let's jump into some comic books. Let's say goodbye to Gwen and that terrible, terrible time. You want to talk about some Absolute Batman?
Let's talk about some Absolute Batman. It was kind of a chilling issue.
You know what? That's the end of the show, guys. We really don't need to take it any further.
Good night.
Good night. So yeah, guys, it was a very chilling issue. We have the actual fight between Mr. Freeze and Batman. If you guys remember, we were introduced to Mr. Freeze last issue. First thing, elephant in the room we got to address. I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm so sorry for you that Marcos Martin was, it's Marcos Martin, was the artist on this one again. It was better that he is slightly better when he puts his characters in masks. Aside from that, it's just not working for me. I don't think it really works for it. It works for somebody clearly because they keep using him, but I'm not a big fan of it.
I mentioned this last issue, however many episodes ago that was. He is the type of artist that I could see working appropriately on, an indie title that has a very specific vision and tone to it. It wouldn't be for me because I still don't like his art, regardless of what the setting is. But I could see where it would be appropriate in those instances. Not on Batman.
Not on Batman. Although here, I think it really worked in these scenes, in the funeral scenes.
Oh yeah, when it's just silhouettes.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's great at like simplicity, but yeah, I'm 100% there with you with the style. It's really off-putting. Which worked last issue, I think only in that one panel when Match's face like blew up. But that was supposed to look ugly and bad, you know what I mean? We are back here. We are meeting back up with Bruce, who has encountered Victor Jr., who is currently running a big old sort of cryo company in Gotham. We learn, I forget if it was this issue. No, it is this issue. Because I went back and I read them back to back because I knew they were like a two-parter. In this issue, we learned that the company he's working for, it's actually kind of like Futurama, where you freeze your body if you have a disease, and then once they get a cure, they'll unfreeze you, and boom, you're good to go. And I think there was a really cool twist on this because that, when we think of cryotherapy, or not even cryotherapy, cryopreservation, I guess is probably the best way to put it. When we think of that practice, we think you shut down, right? Like you get all cold and you just sort of numb out, Captain America style, and then you wake up and go, huh, where am I? Mr. Freeze here explains, I honestly don't know enough about, temperature science to know if this was Scott Snyder being poetic or if it was him actually being like rooted in fact. I'd probably say a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but he reveals that when the patients go into these chambers, they're not knocked out. They are fully alive, fully conscious, fully suffering the pain of like hypothermia. Have you ever gotten like a really, really bad, like freezer burn, I guess is probably the best way. Have you ever gotten that, Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it fucking hurts.
Yeah, I have.
It is like, stick your hand in water, pull it out, negative like 0 or negative 40 weather. Your hand will hurt, even if you warm it up, even when you get like, it sucks. I remember it happened to me when I was 12. I thought I was going to lose my hand, even though I went to the doctor and everybody was like, you're fine, it'll come back. I was like, it's day 3. It's still numb. I'm dying. I'll never play Ocarina of Time again. So it is a very...
An equivalent to that is when I was in college, I went to the beach. This is when I was still living in California. So I went to, I think it was Monterey, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Or Santa Cruz, one of the two. And I went there with my girlfriend at the time and my best buddy at the time. And we hung out, we chilled on the beach. I don't like do beaches much. Because I don't do the ocean, but I do like kind of just laying down, chilling on the sand and relaxing.
Get the sun beating on you.
Ocean air. Yeah. So what happened was, I applied sunscreen like an intelligent human being. However, I didn't apply it on my legs.
Ooh.
I got 2nd-degree sunburns on my legs.
Oh man. Was it on all the leg or just like the back?
On the front.
Oh, even worse.
So for those of you who don't know, when that happens, your capillaries will shrink up to basically nothing. So the blood can't properly flow through them. So if I put any amount of pressure on them whatsoever, it felt like they were getting stabbed by a
Oh,
million knives.
oh my God. I know the feeling.
I also was the only one in my group who could
No!
drive my car.
Oh, I thought you were the only one who got burned.
Because
fuck.
I was.
Well, okay.
But that too, yeah. But I was
The
also the
stick.
only one in my group who could drive my car because I drove manual.
My man. I do too. I've run into that problem so much.
That was a really not fun time. That was a really not fun time.
But look, you survived, you learned, and now you spend all of your time inside like a smart human. Guys, we evolved
Correct.
to get out of outside. When people go like, "Do you want to go camping?" I'm like, "No. We conquered the seas, so I don't have to go lay on the ground anymore." So, yes. long story short, what we're getting at is this sort of twist on the cryo idea is pretty terrifying if you actually think about it. He even says, Mr. Freeze says at one point, because he's going to freeze Bruce just to get rid of him. And he says like, oh, the first 30 years are going to be pretty painful. But after that, if you're able to accept it, it's a easy ride from there on out. And I'm just like, that's terrifying. Like 30 years of just actual unending pain. Because here's the thing too, with fire, right? If you get lit on fire, guys, it's really painful for like about 10 seconds, but then that's over because you burn off all of your pain receptors, all
your
the
nerve
nerves.
endings
Exactly.
and pain receptors are gone.
You
Yeah.
mainly die when you're lit on fire from smoke inhalation because your body is putting it directly into circulation. Here, you're not, nothing's dying, like your nerves are still active. They're still connected to you. They're not going anywhere. There's no hope of them eventually like burning off. They are stuck there just being frozen five ever. So I thought that was a pretty cool twist. There is so eventually Bruce, I don't know how I feel about this, Andrew. Last issue we saw that after the fight with Roman, with Black Mask, he kind of developed, or, he gave himself a cast, but in typical Batman fashion, he like gave it some modifications.
He tricked out the cast.
Yeah, exactly. And he kind of gave himself, I don't know if you've read Berserk, but he gave himself sort of the Berserk style Mega Man crossbow arm, right? Like, he points it out, got an arm mounted crossbow. He uses it here.
Okay.
He gets stuck into the, or he gets thrown into the chamber and he starts firing his cast to shoot like mini batarangs that crack the glass and let him escape from the tube. Okay, so this is where I'm torn, and I want to get your take on it, because that does feel very Batman-y, right? Like, I always had the solution. I had this tricked up my sleeve.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it for an absolute Batman where he's at right now. It almost feels like, I don't know. It feels almost too comic booky for the absolute setting where we're at right now, because he's still so youngish. I don't know. Did it rub you at all, or were you just like, nope, that's totally accepted?
I had two opposing thoughts about it. So the first was, just as you said, this feels like super early in his career for that. And it did feel very comic booky. Like, it wasn't quite shark repellent level, but it was kind of like, wow, like that's super convenient. On the other hand, though, I was like, okay, but then let me look back to the first arc, and he did have a lot of, like, despite this being like his first year or whatever, he did have a number of other instances where it's like
true.
He was already prepared, he thought way far ahead, and all of these things, and he already had traps laid out, set up, and whatnot. It was like, I guess I got to be fair here in
That's
that, like,
true.
if I'm going to have an issue with this, I should have an issue with that as well. The difference, though, I think, being that this does feel a bit more like comic booky,
like
for lack
Deus
of a
Ex
better
Machina. I like maybe it's the fact that it's like a big actual crossbow instead of like how Jango Fett and Boba Fett, they just like shoot out of their wrist, their line. You could have just done something like that. Again, it's fiction, so that would have been more
Yeah.
acceptable. I know that that's not really viable in real life, but we could have bought that. I think maybe I'm just stuck on big, goofy, actual crossbow coming out of like absolute Batman's hand. That seems a little absurd.
Totally.
But
Totally. No,
that
I'm there with you.
yeah. But that aside, like I said, for me personally, I'm sure, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for Andrew, but Martin's art when he gets into the fight with Batman and Mr. Freeze, I think works, but that's because he hides Batman's face so we don't see the weird details, and again, Mr. Freeze is supposed to look monstrous. What do you think? Were you okay with the art in this part?
I was okay with it in this part, and I use okay kind of loosely because I still don't like how he draws Batman. But it works for Mr. Freeze with that kind of body horror type thing.
Yeah.
I think it works there as long as he's not drawing someone that's supposed to look like an actual normal human being. I think he does fine, but yeah, I don't like his Batman at all.
What?
I hope he's
why
soon.
is that, or like right here, or blah 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 blah. Let me ask you, why don't you like the way he draws Batman? Because when I look at him here, this just looks like the absolute design of Batman. What am I missing here? Because I'm sure I am.
There's something about the lower part of his face that doesn't sit right with me. It feels like his mouth is pressed too far up to his nose. I don't
actually. Now that you point that out, his body and everything looks like absolute Batman, but his head looks like the blue suit 1980s Batman from Earth Prime. And that's weird. Yeah, what is that? That's weird. I don't know why. Yeah, okay, I can see that now. I'm right behind you now. But
okay, yeah,
yes,
we're tracking.
Yeah, we're vibing here, guys. We're rolling. But
we are tracking.
So from there, I actually thought the fight was pretty cool. Mainly because Batman does acknowledge, like, I like when a hero is like hurt and he acknowledges it during a fight, and it isn't just like, remember in Black Widow? Did you see Black Widow?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I saw Black Widow.
Okay, cool. That I know that's exactly why I was like, hey, you don't have to watch it for work, okay? Maybe you got out of it okay, or you got out of it alive. But remember in that movie when Natasha and Yelena are running from the Black Widows, like on the rooftops of in that one city, and at one point Natasha is trying to like run across like a falling pipe, and she gets hit by like one of the Black Widows, and she falls from like 4 stories up, hits like a vent shaft, falls to the ground, and then just stands up like, oof, owie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that shit. Like that's probably the most egregious example I've ever seen, because Natasha is a human, but
it's not like she's Peter Parker.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But he does have superhuman endurance and durability.
And some level, or even like a Wolverine or something that has some level of healing factor that can start kicking in. It does happen a lot in comic books, unfortunately, but I really like when that doesn't I like when they actively acknowledge that there's like a difficulty in the fight. Here, Batman acknowledges like, oh, my blood is like sludge. I cannot move as fast. He's not better than me, but I'm just fucking freezing. He says at one point, he's
fighting off hypothermia still.
Yeah, your body temp can't be above 96 yet. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, that's the man is barely moving. But yeah, aside from that, he classic Batman style, starts using fire against him. I didn't get this part, Andrew. I liked it, but he has super strength all of a sudden. Like that was weird to me. Because
it kind of threw me off a little bit as well. I was like, really? But okay.
Because I don't assume that he has powers. I assume that blueness is just sort of like the byproduct of him being in the ice and being infected and everything.
I thought that was just the thing that happened to his skin and his physiology. I never associated that with him suddenly getting powers or anything like that. Though when we get to the end of this issue, which is super soon, I think I see where we're going with it.
Oh yeah, let me know, because I don't.
I think I see where we're going.
All right, I'm gonna follow you here because I trust you, obviously. But before we move on from this page, I just have to say it because I didn't mention it last week. But I need a video game made of Absolute Batman. And if not directly him, somebody please use this bat hook, like, chain shit that he's using in all of these fights. Please, I've been saying this since day one. It is the coolest weapon that he has had in a long, long time, and I need it to do something. That's what Mr. Freeze is dodging up here, and I'm just like, come on. I need it. Devil May Cry game where I can use this sort of weapon. You know you want to do it, Capcom. But then, yeah, this is where I really wanted to get to and why I was really spending a lot of time on the hypothermia section or like explanation about the patients, because Mr. Freeze goes, oh, Batman, you're winning? Well, I have an army. And he opens up the chamber for all the patients, everybody who said, I need help, like I'm dying. He lets them out, and in just their frenzied mind, they go after Bruce. And then he starts fighting back, but there's, it's so gross. Like he says it in this, like they don't spend a lot of time on it. They let you imply the details, but he says they're falling apart in my hands. Remember, these are soggy, essentially waterlogged, decaying, decrepit humans who are sick.
Yeah, these things are basically just shambling, more or less corpses that are being held together by, paper thin sinew at most. And like when I turned the page and saw this panel, I was like, oh my God.
So did I, man. And then yeah, because he says, yeah, they're falling apart, but they keep coming. And I'm just like, that is disgusting, right? Like he knows he's going to win, but he still has to sludge through. If anybody here has done like yard work, I don't know, like sludge is backed up out of your plumbing, or you've had to clean the gutters or something like that. That's pretty much what he was mucking around in just as a fight, which was just, I love you, Scott Snyder. I don't know, that really stood out to me. That's kind of what I like to see out of this Absolute universe.
One of the more gross fights I've seen in comics.
100%. But then from there, the fight keeps going. Batman eventually makes his way out, and that's the end of the Bat plot here. So he basically has, I wouldn't say beaten Mr. Freeze, but he's escaped Mr. Freeze at this point.
Yeah. He definitely didn't win that fight.
Definitely didn't win that fight, but at least he's alive. Which, hey, I didn't even realize that. That ties into the B plot of this issue, which I actually really, really liked. It is, we learn that Matches Malone was, in regular Earth Prime, he's the guy who, he's Batman's alter ego, the thief or whatever. And here he is just one of the gang. He's one of their best friends. We get the sad revelation that he was in their class on the day of the zoo shooting, and he was the last kid out. So like Bruce's dad ran out to get him, threw him in. Because of that, Matches blamed himself on, like, your dad went out for me, even though his dad went out on his own volition. They even talk about that. Like, he was going to go out for anybody, whether it was you or whatever. But we get this, I really like this because they have this funeral, and it's, Ozzy and Riddler and Waylon and everybody. And they're just talking about being friends. And then Bruce shows up out of nowhere. And the last thing they saw of him was when he was jumping off of Riddler's plane to go fight Roman. And so, they try to press him on, are you Batman? Talk to us about this. And he's like, no, I gotta go. Like, I have work to do. And Waylon, Killer Croc, ends up beating the shit out of him. And
he does. He actually kicks the crap out of him.
Dude, he rocks him. Where is it? Yeah, right here. He is just rocking the hell out of Batman, because I was actually so I had a moment of like, Batman wouldn't act like this. But then I remembered, like, but Absolute Batman would, because, because Waylon, Batman's there. He's like, no, I gotta go. I'm not gonna talk to you guys. Bye. And Waylon goes, you're a coward, man. And Bruce goes, I'm a coward. And he flips out and he starts fighting him, right? Like bar fighting him. We wouldn't see that from our Bruce, but from this young Bruce, 100%. So they start duking it out.
Bruce is a little more, he's still brilliant. He's still a great tactician, but he's still a little more of a wild card.
Way more,
our Bruce.
Remember, this Absolute Bruce just stabbed Black Mask through the face with his own helmet horns. I'm sure he would get a stern
which
talking
was
to from our
brutal
Bruce.
and amazing.
Just so still. I will go back and just read that exchange, that like 2-panel fight over and over again, because it is so good. It's in my running for like moment of the year, because that's what comic books is, baby. But yeah, so the Waylon kicks the crap out of Bruce, and we basically get this little moment of, you know, do you want to live or do you want to die? It's almost, for my One Piece readers out there, it's almost like the moment between Robin and Luffy when he's rescuing Robin from being executed. Waylon goes, are you going out here with the intention to die or do you want to live? And he's like, because every time you keep going out, it's a suicide mission. You're just letting yourself die. Is that what you want? Yeah. And Bruce has to, you know, have that realization with himself of, it's not what I want, so I have to be smarter about this. I can't just go bang, bang John Wayne into everything. So...
Or John Wick. Either one.
Or John Wick. By the way, John Wick 5? Why? What are we doing here? I don't know.
If it's good, it's good.
If it's good, it's good, but
I love all the movies.
I do too. I saw the man die.
The first one was going to be the last one. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I saw the man die.
So, I mean, just don't give me a stupid reason for why he's still around and I'm good. Just still give me like really good action, you know?
I mean, we will get that 100%. I'm not even worried about that. What am I even concerned about plotting a John Wick film for? What are we doing here? Anyway, back to the book, but that's how the Matches story ends, is Bruce realizing, like, I have to fight to live. And then, actually, I was surprised by this, and I think I like this a lot. All of his friends, like Ozzy and Waylon, and they all are on his side. They're like, we're behind you.
Yeah.
You just don't have to do this alone, you moron.
They're on his side right now.
True.
So this is what I was getting at.
Awesome.
So
yes.
We see Waylon.
Also, I love this.
Right
I love
now.
the colors on this page, man. Like, I know Marcos's art isn't for you. I like the colors here.
Yeah, I don't like the art, but the page layout itself, I do dig.
Really, really cool. But yes, hit me.
So we see Waylon gets taken out and kidnapped by people who are part of
Arkham.
They call it the Arkham Project. We know what it's basically supposed to be this universe's version of, right?
Of course.
Arkham Asylum.
I just laugh like, really? Arkham? You guys couldn't do anything else? We know what it is, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think what we're going to see happen is slowly, maybe one by one, each of his childhood friends are actually going to get kidnapped and turn into the villains of what we usually see from the Prime universe. Okay,
I think you're right, but let me press you on this, because obviously villains like physical transformation or whatever, which is what they're sort of implying here. You know, he's a perfect specimen.
Obviously, with somebody like Killer Croc,
right? He's going to be a Croc.
Sense and worked.
Well, yeah, it's going to work for most of them, right? Like we got
Riddler.
Well,
maybe he becomes insane.
Okay, that's mainly who I was talking about, because like with Penguin, in this universe, you could probably do the Danny DeVito thing and say we injected him with Penguin DNA. Why not? We're just experimenting on everything, right? And that could work, but you can't. We crossbred Riddler or Enigma with a radioactive Ken Jennings Jeopardy champion. Like, that's what I mean. Like, what are you gonna do? So, but I actually do like that. I like that idea of insanity, because if you remember, so this was something I don't think we touched on, but last issue when Bruce gets the like footage inside of Arc M, he notices like everybody's screaming and everybody's in torture and pain, but he sees like 4 different names and they're all doctors, right? Like that's how he gets Victor's name. But on it, there's like Poison Ivy's name is on there, Hugo Strange's name is on there, and then Victor's. So I'm wondering, do you are they captured, like for like, how do I put this? For Eddie, I could see them doing the thing. Are they capturing people and forcing them to work for them, and that's what's going to drive Eddie insane? Or are people like Poison Ivy and Victor, are they Are they willingly working for them, and that's why they don't feel the need to like lock them up? I have no idea yet. I guess I'm just going way into speculation territory.
I'll be honest. I didn't think that far ahead about it. I was just like, the second I saw that panel, I was like, oh, they're going to turn him into Killer Croc.
Oh yeah,
like immediately. The second I saw that panel, that is immediately what popped into my head. And so I was like, oh, what if all of Bruce's childhood friends, who are this universe's versions of many of his most famous rogues gallery in Prime Universe, end up getting kidnapped and then becoming his enemies in this universe? Because that hits differently than him meeting them as enemies, like he did in the Prime Universe or Earth Zero or whatever the hell.
Whatever it is nowadays.
I can never remember.
That's why I always go our Earth, our regular Earth. I don't know.
Yeah, instead of like, these were his friends. He actually grew up with these kids. He has an attachment to them.
Yeah.
What if then they become his enemies in his rogues gallery? That hits a lot differently than just coming across some lunatic wearing whatever, a bowler hat and a cane, and becoming one of your biggest adversaries. It's a much bigger deal for somebody that you knew and you trusted and you loved to become your enemy.
And check this. This just hit me. So he's already sort of like Harvey Dent sort of already knew, like inferred that Bruce was being Batman when he was going to them all for help to find Roman. Yeah. And that kind of put them on the outs. But what happens if, he goes to Harvey for help, but now Harvey is Two-Face, but he's not, psycho Two-Face, split personality, but he's like a corrupt, bought out lawyer. So, come to me, Bruce.
He's two-faced differently.
Right.
He's two-faced internally.
I'm working for the people, but I'm really working for Arc N. Like, that could be really, really interesting. I guess all that's left to say here is, I really like this issue, or I really like this issue. I really like the series. I want Nick Dragotta back as soon as possible, but the storytelling continues to be peak.
I do too. And I'm not even in love with his work, but I like it way more than this.
Way more than this. At least it's palpable. And, I think we do get him back next arc because we get Bane, and they've been really promoting that promo image he did of Bane. I think they're going to put their best foot forward on the Absolute books and say, if we're advertising him, we're going to put him. It's not going to be a Jorge Jimenez situation.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, shoot me.
Let's see. Tehillim says, this Batman just feels like a crossover between Punisher / Bane and Deathstroke. I can see that, but I think that the one thing that separates them, at least in my opinion, is
this Batman still doesn't kill.
He still doesn't kill, but he's also, that's what I was getting at. He's not like wanton about his violence, right? Like he's being a hero. Punisher, Deathstroke, Bane, they're just going to go blow you away no matter the hell what. But Batman is calculated.
Yeah, this isn't what's his face, the basically Punisher Batman from the Dark Knight's metal. Like this isn't
God.
I don't know why I can't remember his name right now.
It's not even Azrael. I know who you're talking about though. Damn, who was that?
He's literally Punisher Batman. And that's not what he is here in the Absolute Universe. I don't think that's a necessarily accurate take on him. He's still Batman, but he is a bit more brutal for sure. He's a lot scrappier. He's throwing together, and he has to be, because keep in mind, he's just kind of a regular schmo. He's not quintillionaire Bruce Wayne, right? He has to make do with what he finds and can piece together. Now that makes an interesting difference, because Bruce Wayne, while yes, he did create a lot of his stuff, he still also had a lot of his stuff created by guys like Lucius Fox. Right?
Oh yeah.
Whereas this one, he's working on his own. He's building everything, from scraps. So he
in a cave.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that calling him basically being like Punisher, Bane, and Deathstroke is not an accurate description to me as somebody who has been reading it since issue 1.
Yeah. No, I can get on that read. I see where Tehillim's coming from, but I think that's a little too surface level. Yeah, like, because again, we talked about this. When he went on the boat, he saved all of those people except for Roman. Or I think Roman lived. He just got, pierced through the freaking eye. So Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
God, such a good panel. Put it in the Louvre. All right, put it in the Louvre. But yes, guys, Absolute Batman continues to be great. Go check it out. Fun little anecdote. I did see when I went to the comic shop on Wednesday, a guy, clearly like a dad. He had his 2 kids. He went up to the counter and he's like, "Hey, I've been out of comics for a while. What's going on with like Batman, Superman?" And my shop guy was like, "Here's Absolute." And the dude was stoked. He picked them all up. So you love to see it. You love to see those moments when people want to come back.
Yeah.
But speaking of people who are coming back, speaking of moments you want to kind of love, but maybe not totally love, why don't we hop not only universes, but coasts of the DC universe? Or I don't know where the geography is nowadays. I know Zack Snyder said that they were right across the river. That's stupid. But we're going to go from Gotham. Let's jump over to Metropolis. Let's do it, Andrew. Let's start talking about your girl. We are back with Kara Zor-El. Do you have any opening words before I jump into this?
Yeah. I didn't love it.
I'm not surprised.
It was okay. I try to be pretty lenient when things are like kind of soft reboots of things. Like, okay, we got to establish what's the tone for this book, what's the tone for this run, where is the writer putting this character in terms of the development, and that's actually wherein I have the problem with this book so far, at least right from jump, because this book actually feels like a bit of a walk back of Kara's character for me. She felt a lot younger than she honestly should have been. This is the same Kara that went through a lot of stuff already. And so she felt like this weird, how do I want to put this? She felt like a rookie while also talking like she had done other things.
That's what I was going to say. She sounds...
For decades.
This feels like we are,
It feels like this was supposed to be teenage Kara.
That's exactly it, yeah.
But she's not teenage Kara anymore. She's really not.
It feels like we are opening up an episode of... Or like, we're opening a new Supergirl TV show where she's already had some time behind her, but she's still really, inexperienced. But that doesn't work because, like you said, we're aware that no matter what continuity she's in, she's always, except for the old Michael Turner Superman Batman one, she's always pretty experienced by the time we get to this point of her career on Earth.
Yeah, like there are a number of runs, prior to when she was brought back in the early 2000s by Jeff Lubb and Michael Turner, where she'd been doing this for years and years and years. She knows what she's doing. Obviously, that's not the same Kara as the character Kara from then, but still, we're actually told that all of these things happened, right? Already, everything is
canon, baby.
Right?
And this is where you Dark Knights.
This is where that starts to show and rear its ugly head, right? Because we have a Kara now who. This is an amalgamation of problems, really, because as much as I actually genuinely love this outfit, you're putting her in an outfit that is very reminiscent of
her rookie years
when she was a teenager and a rookie and being brought back into the universe. And you are writing her kind of with that same attitude and mentality, though, like dialed up just a little bit to where it's like, okay, so she's not a high schooler now. Maybe she's like in college or whatever.
No, I think,
right? But she's being written kind of like she's college girl Kara. And okay, so maybe that means she has a couple of years under her belt, but it doesn't match up with what she should really be at in her development in her career.
No way.
I expected a lot more so far. And again, this is issue 1. Issue 2 could completely flip the script. I'm willing to give it a shot. However, I have decided that at this point, I'm just going to grab the
art germs.
I'm just going to grab the art germ covers for this first arc, ride that out, see how it is. If it ends well, okay, I'll keep going. But if it doesn't, at least I grabbed all the art germ covers,
which are amazing.
I have the standard one here. I have the foil variant on the way. I just got my email notification for shipping from Midtown Comics, and I pre-ordered the signed CGC
that's right,
foil variant of the Art Germ one through
cool.
Art Germ's own website. So I've got that on the way. So like I I kind of went ironic with the era in DC we're in right now. I kind of went all in on this issue because
It's your
Supergirl is
girl.
my second favorite. She's my second favorite DC character overall, just behind Wally, and she's my favorite female DC character just in general.
Yeah, easy.
I love her. I can speak on Supergirl, guys. Like, here's that Michael Turner, Jeff Lubb run, right? All of these are signed by Peter Steigerwald, the colorist. They're not signed by Michael Turner, sadly. However, this is, which is a 9.6.
So crazy. Yeah. So fucking cool.
I have, I've got the trade of that collection. I've got the hardcover of that collection. I've got this right here, which is the strictly Michael Turner's pencils in his gallery edition, right? And all of his DC work. Like, I freaking love Supergirl. This actually came in last week in the mail. This is the J. Scott Campbell.
Oh wow. The Bombshell one, right?
Yeah, this is the Bombshell pinup kind of sporty Kara, which looks great. I wish it was a little bigger, mostly because
that is smaller than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it futzes with my OCD because these DC gallery ones are way larger. Like, I've got this Art Germ one of
that's so cool.
Kara from the old animated Justice League, and of course the crown jewel of my DC statue collection is the Michael Turner.
The Michael Turner Supergirl.
So I can speak on Supergirl. I know the character. I know her development. I know where she's been.
He even knows Angel Supergirl. He knows Kryptonian Matrix Supergirl.
Angel mixed with plasma from where
I was gonna say. Remember the fire wings that she had for like a little bit? Like, oh yeah, Andrew was there. He was in the trenches, guys.
I was there, Gandalf. That is that's kind of where I was at. And so all that is to say, and we'll go through the issue itself here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about it. I was setting you up for a preamble. That's what we wanted here. Again, if you guys saw all of our promo,
disappointed.
This is your run. I want you to get in on this. This is where we would be if we got a new Scarlet Spider series. Except I wouldn't expect Andrew to read it at all, because I know that would be torture for him. Because it is close.
I would read it just for the sake of the show.
Just for the show.
As long as they have good artists and
put it down. Oh no! It'll be Salvador LaRocca. I know it's going to be Salvador LaRocca. Whenever it comes around, it's going to be Salvador LaRocca. Or no, what's a worse sign, Andrew? If they put Salvador LaRocca on it, or if we get the announcement tomorrow and they're like, new series from Pepe Larraz.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right? Like, oh god.
Immediately.
Like that is the reddest flag. He's amazing. We love his art, but anytime he's on a book, you're gonna.
They pair him with an awful writer because they think it makes up for it, and it really doesn't.
They pair him with an awful writer and put him on like the worst project, Blood Hunt. Oh my god. All right.
But all that is to say that, like, so far I'm a little disappointed, a little let down. I was very hopeful. The art is fine. I'll give props to a writer who can also draw. Like, Sophie Campbell can draw. She's not an amazing artist, but she can draw. And she could certainly draw better than I can, that's for sure. And this, I'll take this art over, say, Marcos Martin.
Well,
absolute Batman.
Marcos
right
Martin DC,
like,
not Marcos Martin Rippaverse.
Not Marcos Martin's the Rippaverse colorist, who is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
He's fantastic and a good guy. So this is, I was so excited. I wanted more. And I'm really genuinely glad, because I almost ordered the signed Art Germ variant for issue 2 from his website last week. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off. And then I read this first issue. I was like, I'm glad I held off.
Yeah.
I don't regret getting the first one, because it's a foil variant. It's Art Germ.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't regret that whatsoever.
That's what I was going to say is, like, but I'm so bummed that the others aren't foil. I really, there is something about, and I was actually going to bring this up. I'll bring it up later on. But there's something about, like, I really like girls in casual wear. So one of the Art Germ covers is Kara ripping open like a sweatsuit, like a hanging out at home, like teal sweatsuit. to go into her costume. And I'm like, I wish that was foil so bad. Why is that not foil?
Yeah, they're kind of stingy with what they're choosing to do, as far as what they're going to make foil and whatnot. Sometimes they do it on reprints, it seems. But for whatever reason, yeah, they're not doing with all the. They should do it with all the art germs, at least for
That's
this
what I'm
first,
saying.
Arc, this first whatever it ends up being, 5 or 6 issues. So what that's going to end up meaning is if they do.
Let's see. Are we back? Oh, we look clear, crystal sharp now. I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna make it, folks. I think we're gonna make it. Luckily, guys. So what just happened there? Andrew and I noticed for the last little bit, our connections have been really weird. Andrew was coming in fuzzy. I was getting some audio stutters. So we went behind to see if there's anything we could shut off. I turned off a couple settings. It looks like we're back and we should be okay. Luckily, it doesn't look like we lost anything. So the show, if I didn't say anything right now, you guys would have known nothing happened. But you know what? We got to be honest with you. That's why we jumped off. We're back. And now we will properly get into our girl, Supergirl, starting with Clone Geek says, I kind of want DC to bring back Peter David's Supergirl. I mean, Peter David should just be writing more, and they should be giving him more money, because that man, it still breaks my heart. That man is currently GoFundMeing his medical bills, because the government kicked him off of his Medicaid, and then, which again, I don't care about your political issues. That's just what happened. That's the base fact. I don't know if it was a Democrat or Republican thing, but they kicked him off, and the royalties and everything, he's getting nothing from DC and Marvel because of their stupid contracts. He got nothing from Spider-Verse, guys. He made Spider-Man 2099, nothing from Spider-Verse.
Nothing. Nada.
He helped define so many of these characters, and they're just like, bye. I don't really care about you. It's really bad, and that is why we support the RIPPAVERSE. Do you think even if Andrew, Mr. I'm gonna go get snacks for Eric, intern. I know that's the extent of your job. You're not that important.
Oh, that's all I do.
Yeah, you're not that important. You're a peon. But I know that even if Andrew got, our temporary cancer, the RIPPAVERSE would not leave him out to dry. So I love you, Peter. I hope everything's okay. But yeah, guys, if you can give, I gave like $10. It's not a lot, but it's all I could. Clone says, debating whether or not to get the J. Scott Zantana cover. Andrew,
is that
do you know which one?
That's still being written by
yeah, Jamal or Jamie.
Campbell?
Yeah, Jamal Campbell. It is Jamal. Yep, it's that one. The one we picked up the first one. We went, not bad, not great.
The art was solid. The story was just kind of, I don't know. I just didn't have any interest in it, or desire to keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
It just, it didn't grab me, which was unfortunate, because I was totally open to the idea of being, reading a Zatanna comic every month. But
that's what I was gonna say enough. Is I'm not a big fan of like intricate magic sort of set, like learn potions and spells and all that. But you do. I know you love Harry Potter. So I was like, that seems like this might be right up your alley. And I guess, but I can see, I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't do that Harry Potter angle. It goes like the theater kid magic angle, if that makes any sense. Which was, kind of a bummer, because you like that stuff. We both like Z well enough, as long as she's not being drawn in the werewolf book. And that image, the gut, man, like
it's burned into my retina
the pregnant gut Zatanna with no shoes meeting Bruce for coffee. Clone Geek also says, funny thing is the Angel Supergirl stuff is pretty solid. That, I don't know about you, Andrew. I think that's actually a good read of it. It's a
The
solid
writing-
out of continuity story, if you would.
Yeah, the writing itself is solid for just being a story.
Yes,
I don't like
yes.
it as an interpretation.
No. Like
The
it
two
shouldn't.
things can be true at once, so
Ex-
those two things can exist.
And it's also like maybe if they'd have given that Angel Fire Matrix storyline to a different character, we could have gotten behind it. But it was weird to give it to Kara after all the years we've had of Kara. Remember, I don't know where she is nowadays, but there was for like 2 seconds a black-haired Supergirl. Do you remember that? Not Kara.
Oh yeah,
but it was like
what's her face? She was like the future daughter of Clark and Lois.
Yeah, like give
she
her
was the one
that
they,
origin.
They did the design for the Flash movie, Supergirl.
Yes, and you could have used her, give her that origin, but I don't even think they remember she existed anymore. And I say that because we're at a point in the Superman continuity where they're really leaning into the super family thing. Like he's bringing everybody, and he just adopted 2 new kids. So you would think future Space Daughter would definitely be in the roster if they remembered she existed. Clone says, speaking of Scarlet Spider, at my LCS, I talked to a guy with a Ben Reilly hoodie and dyed blonde hair. That wasn't a guy. That was him. You probably saw him, Clone Geek. How dare you not beg him to get back into action, to abandon his chasm ways and be with us as a hero once more. That was getting into a weird, like, religious territory. And everybody knows my love of Ben could probably err into both religious and erotic. So let's get into Supergirl, where we don't have to deal with those questions. So, as we sort of touched upon, we are back with Supergirl. We are in an era right now, and that's sort of why I brought up the Superman family, where the super status quo is everyone is here, Smash Brothers style, right? And they are all actively like doing
DC
things.
multiverses, dude.
Oh my god. Didn't you guys love that game?
For the 5 minutes it existed.
It makes me so mad because they gave Black Lantern skins to Wonder Woman and Superman, and they look incredible. It's the only time you can play as a Black Lantern version of them. The game is fucking the worst game I've ever played. It's putting an art germ cover on this Supergirl series, essentially.
It was basically like, hey, let's do PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, but worse.
Which was already a bad game. I don't know how do you do a Smash Brothers clone where the only way to get a kill is the final smash? Then what is the point of doing any like regular? Join us on our video game podcast, Foil Video Game, next Wednesday. That's when we'll be starting it. But aside from that, let's get into the actual Supergirl before we take 500 years and go on a tangent, because you guys know we definitely could. You know we could. But as I said, right now in the super metropolis world of it all, we are we're in an era where everybody is active. John Kent is active. Connor Kent is active. Kenan Kong is active. 2 of the kids that they adopted from a Kryptonian prison are active as heroes. And in Kara's case in particular, we've actually seen her really at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. And not just, we just saw her in, what was it, World's Finest? Remember, she's the one where, remember when they like go through, or no, it's Justice League, where they like jump through the Phantom Zone, remember? And then she like pops out and she's like, how did we not turn into Phantoms? And Wally's like, I don't know. And you and I are like, really guys? Like, just
comics.
Don't.
That's basically what we did there.
And we just, you and I were like, come on, we've seen this too many times. But so she's like, on the Justice League Unlimited, in the super books, she is sort of the older, in charge mentor-ish, not exactly a mentor, but that sort of position to Kenan and Connor and John. So as Andrew was saying, where we're at with Kara, she should be more of a, adult, a late 20s woman.
Of a seasoned adult hero. Like, weird timey-wimey stuff aside in terms of like, how old is everybody really? She should basically be somewhere around her 20s, late 20s maybe, and a more mature, seasoned veteran hero. You can still layer in some of those things that are kind of, I think, innate to her character, because she's a lot more hot-headed than Clark.
Oh, yeah.
you know, she's quick to use more force than
Do
Clark.
you guys not watch our intro where she whoops the ass of Darkseid really fast?
Yeah. You know, so you can keep those things there, but layer them in kind of under the surface of like, that's still there, but she still has all this experience and maturity that she's gained over the decades, right?
100%.
And none of that was here with this book.
And it's funny because think, to reinforce, or like to emphasize your point, remember, I think you watched like the first season of the CW show, right?
I watched, so it was on ABC for the first season.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed the hell out of it. And then in the second season, it took almost no time because the second season
went straight
over to the CW. It was almost immediately like, and I was like, what happened? And then it went to the CW.
It was really bad. Like
the first season had me so hopeful because it was the right amount of camp.
Yeah.
Like race swapping Jimmy aside,
whatever.
Cat Grant was perfect.
I loved Cat Grant so much in that show. She was Callista Flockhart, killed it.
She was like incredible. She almost carried the show on her own. And Melissa,
she did.
Is also fantastic.
She's a great Kara. That first episode or not even an episode, but like that first sequence where she saves the plane, I was like, that's amazing. And then we get that great montage where she's like putting on like the different suits, and all of them aren't like 100% accurate 1-to-1, but they're all clearly like comic book references. I was like,
they were taking inspiration from the books.
I was like, they care here. These people really want us to like it. Okay. And then, yes, Callista Flockhart was so much fun. One of my favorite moments is Kara, Jimmy, and what's his name? Wyatt or whatever? The real Jimmy, if you will.
Yeah, he slapped some red hair on him and he's actually Jimmy.
He is 100% Jimmy. But there's a moment where they're like talking in the office about like a mission, and they're like whispering, and they're like, what are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And Kat walks in and she's like, excuse me, I asked for my staff, not the cast of a CW show. And I was like, this is incredible. And then they went to the CW, and I was just like, that's so terrible. Like, what a bad decision.
The worst thing that could have happened to that show.
But I bring that up because even in that show, right, we have a more inexperienced new Kara, but that Kara is a, mid-20s, 24-year-old adult Kara. So she approaches that naivete as from an adult perspective. Right? She learns, she's able to sort of carry herself a little better. This one, and that's what makes this so weird, because it feels like this one is way more experienced than that Kara was, and yet she is, like you said, acting like a teenager, like a college-aged person at best, in her best moments in this book, which is it is very, very off-putting.
She doesn't act like somebody who has decades of experience under her.
Not at all. I will say, I've been meaning to bring this up because this is the preview page, but I wanted to wait until the issue was out to give it a fair shake. But I was really worried about this book from here. You and I read, interviews with Sophie Campbell, and we were like, okay, we don't know a lot about her work. She hasn't really done a lot, but the way she talks about the character, the inspirations she's taking, we're on board, okay? Like we'll see what you got. Yeah. We got this preview page, and I got really disappointed because this page fails to be a comic book page to me. This page is a webcomic, Tumblr comic at best, because
there's no transitions.
That's exactly what bothers the hell out of me, dude. Like
we're in 3 completely different places on the same page with only 3 panels.
And there's just no sense of continuity or flow. It really baffles me because this artist isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
What the hell did you do here? I'm glad you caught that too, because it's comics. Like, where's the panel of her? Like, that third panel should be.
There's no movement. There's no dynamicism here at all. It's just 3 static images that don't really have much to do with each other.
No, they don't. Like,
because there's no transition panels in between them. This should be a 5-panel page because there needs to be a panel in between panels 1 and 2, and there needs to be one in between 2 and 3 here.
Yes, and you need to show Kara like arriving on the scene and, you know, either whisking the shark away or punching her. Because I think that's what throws me off too, is that Kara's ready to sock, and then the next thing she's like,
carrying
okay,
the shark. Yeah.
and she's also telling him like, you just need to cool off. So it's like, why did you go in so aggressively? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not to make it political, but it's like when the cops are like, oh, everybody down on the ground, freeze, and it's just like, you're only here for like parking tickets, man. You need to calm down. Like,
like dial it back a notch. Man.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It's not that serious.
Yeah. We're here to listen to you. We just didn't know you were here yet. Just say hello. But yeah, so this moment aside, it is admittedly very Silver Age campy, right? Like random aqua weird monster, grab him, throw him back in the sea.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
I don't
some
either.
Camp there. I just the story itself is kind of shallow.
Well,
And
that's exactly
there
it.
There isn't any actual action that really happens. Like you have that moment there where no action happens, but it's supposed to be implied that action happened, and then you have that right there, right, where she stops the beast, and you're like, okay, so that's half a page of action in this comic.
It just, and like, but her action, what's her name? I guess it is Sophie drawing it. I forgot that. Yeah, she was drawing it too. But like, check, like, to reinforce that point, like, look at this, Andrew, in panels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the ones where she's hitting the train, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that first one, the train pops off at the second car and it's flying into the air. In the second, she lands and she's able to like perfectly get it back on. I don't know. It's so weird that she's able to like land it back on the track, and then like the other parts of it are decoupling. I don't know. It just felt not, again, like you're doing one train scene from like episode 3 and then another train scene from episode 4, and you just cut them together and hope the audience wouldn't notice.
So my read of this, I'm going to slightly disagree in this instance.
Hit me.
Because my read of this was that, so try and follow me here.
Yeah,
So
like
she
it stops
lands
and then it goes.
on- Yeah, she
like
lands
that.
on the front, right? And then what happens is that you're kind of, I looked at
The
it as kind
momentum,
of, it was
right?
doing a wave,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, it wouldn't really do that with a train like that, but I kind of see what you were going for there.
And see, I do get that, and I'm right there with you, because yeah, it's that, you know, you stop it, and then the momentum, you know, immovable force, unstoppable object, it ripples back or whatever.
Yes.
I get that. It was just weird to me because, one, Kara,
it's still not great.
Yeah, that's fair, and I'm glad at least I'm not crazy. But yeah,
No,
just
you're not.
to clarify, it's like Kara touches down. It's weird to me that she perfectly lands the train back on, but I can chalk that up to her being super strength, and you know, maybe there's a second between those panels where she adjusts it. But then it just feels weird that, I don't know, like it's around the curve and it's buckling. It felt weird to me. I don't know. Now I'm just being pedantic, but at least Andrew knows I'm not crazy. I've been validated
Not
by the
this time.
Supergirl man. By the Supergirl man. Also, oh, by the way, this is a nitpick. I know Tamara Baldwin. So Tamara Baldwin's a fantastic colorist. She is the one who works with Dan Mora all the time. If you've seen a Dan Mora book, she's probably the one who did it.
Yeah.
She's great at colors. I don't know why she chose, or I think look at Crypto here. He looks too much like a golden retriever. I know that
he's supposed to be a pure white dog.
And I know she's not saying he's a golden retriever. I think she's leaning too hard into like the sunset of it all. But again, we don't get that sense of time. We don't get that sense of this is where we are. Kara doesn't look like she's in sunset. She just looks like she's got a regular color tone. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I'm not saying Tamara is trying to make it into a golden retriever. It just happened in that it was a bad choice. It's like the Hal Jordan ring page that I keep bringing up, where it looked like he didn't have a glove, but he did, as you pointed out. They just fucked up the coloring really hard. So in this issue, we learned that Kara's life is essentially, she is, again, helping everybody save the world, going on regular patrol. But nowadays, because in the recent Action Comics run from Mark Waid, Superman got in trouble with the Bottle City of Kandor, he's banned from there. Like, they don't want him anymore. He'll be executed if he goes in. So now Kara has to go in and take care of his, daily patrol duties, which I like that they remembered this, because this is something that Superman does. Like, he has to protect Kandor as well.
Yeah.
I will get into, I think I'll get into it like as we go on in and on the book, or like as we go get deeper into the book. This is one of the strengths of Sophie Campbell, but then I think it's also a weakness. She's really, really dedicated and like she knows her history, but I think she gets a little too wrapped up on telling us she knows the history instead of doing anything, but we'll get into it. So yeah, she gets into Kandor, saves that train from derailing because this, it's a monster, but I guess it's like an animal, and it just kind of like broke out and went on a rampage. It's not evil.
It's some Kryptonian animal or
yeah,
something.
It's not evil. It's just, going on instinct. So Kara eventually saves the day. We get this moment, which put this in your, you guys will want this for later on. This will come back to play in a couple pages. But yeah, we get this really cool shot of Kara saving this random Kryptonian girl. She goes back. She, finishes the job, wraps the guy up, goes to the Kryptonian Science Council, says, can you go lenient on him? And they go, well, we can. Would you like to like sponsor him, adopt him? And she's like, I don't think I can. And we get, I would say here, Andrew, this is where the interesting narrative point actually pops up, but we don't really do a lot with it, which is she goes, I know Clark would have adopted him, but I'm not him. Right. Yeah. And yes, we have done the who am I outside of Clark.
Right. It's like, oh, am I just, Clark or Kal-El's cousin? Am I just the female version of him? Who am I beyond that? Yeah, we've
done
almost
that
as many times as we've seen the X-Men get persecuted
oh my God.
for being mutants.
Mutants! Yeah. I think there's potential there, but they would have to do it in the sense of where am I in the Superman family organization right now? Like, what am I the, second super person? Am I the auxiliary super person? Am I the super person for Metropolis or Coast City? Like, that would be interesting. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get there, but that's where I went. I could see where this is going, but then unfortunately it didn't get going because
it really didn't. Yeah.
We get this moment where, Kara calls her parents and is just sort of, catching up with them, talking to them. And they say, hey, come visit your old home. Come visit Midvale. And she goes, all right, I guess I will. So she goes back, she puts on her disguise and she goes to Midvale. And when she gets there, she realizes, weird, this entire town has Supergirl fever. And she's also noticing like, that's not me. Exactly. Yeah. She does make a funny comment here where she's like, could there be someone pretending to be me? Look how busty they made me too. What the heck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty damn funny. And so she eventually goes back to her house and she notices
she dons the old Linda Danvers disguise with the comb and dyeing her hair,
which is so cool.
Which that's props to Sophie for that one.
Right. She when like there's already a lot of moments that we've like skipped over where she's really digging into Supergirl history. She has the yellow ring thing that she has to use to keep her powers in Kandor, which I'm like, I thought I was one of 5 people who remembered it, like me and you, and maybe Mark Waid probably remembers it. It's one of those things. And so she's really, really good about that. But for me, like the soy face moment for me was when she picked up the comb. I went, no way did somebody actually remember the stupid comb. Like, there's no way. So, yeah, props to Sophie for that. So Kara gets to her house, notices all of her costumes are just out on the lawn. And she's like, what the heck? That's going to, like, blow my identity. What's going on? She ends up running into a old classmate. And she talks to her, does a little catch up, asks her about Supergirl. And she learns, all of a sudden, Supergirl showed up the other day and she's just been a celebrity. We all love her. I like that the friend's like, I don't really see the big deal though. Like she's just, there's a million superheroes. Why are we all freaking out about Supergirl?
Which is again, kind of funny commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then whoa. I zoomed in really weird on what the hell happened over here? Why is
Nothing happened on my end.
Okay, good. Because my output is okay. I just hit a weird button on the OBS and it made the window all wonky. So I thought we were like super zoomed in. On my end, I was like looking at the top part of your like eyes and then like the bottom part of my chin. And I was like, hold on guys. But that was just on my end. So eventually the conversation comes to an end. Kara's like, yep, I'll catch you guys later. And her friend almost gets hit by a car. And so she goes, whoa, I got to change. And she does her quick thing, turns into Supergirl. As soon as she saves the day, everybody starts going, that's the imposter. We've been warned about you.
Supergirl.
And everybody starts freaking out. Yeah. I actually really like this moment here from the Midvale people, because this is supposed to be like a smaller sort of like Connecticut like type of town. Yeah. And I like that while everybody's like, you're the imposter, this guy here, he's like, everyone back away. She might hurt us, right? Like, they're not leaping to beat the shit out of her. And he's still going to protect everybody, but they're all being very like, we're on the same side here. Listen to me. Just like back away, everybody. I don't know. It was a level of maturity, I guess, out of the civilians that I miss. But yeah, so Kara's going, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. And we go, boom. The other Supergirl shows up, or Super Squirrel Girl, if you will. Yeah. And we get this weird exchange where the fake Supergirl starts, you know, hitting her with a bunch of technology, throwing things in her face, zapping her all over. She hits her with this weird thing that starts turning her costume like evil. And she goes, yeah, I beat you. Stay away. And Kara goes like, what the heck was that? I have no idea what's going on. And so she goes, well, I'll deal with that later. Let's go see what my parents are up to. And she goes to the door and they're like, can we help you? And she goes, it's me. Hello, Mom. It's Kara. You know me, Supergirl. And they're both going like, you must have, like, this must be a mistake. You must be at the wrong place. Like, we'll get you some help. And, you know, or what is it? Crypto's freaking out is what I meant to say. Like, Crypto.
Not Velma shows up.
Yeah, Crypto's freaking out. And as we turn the page, down the stairs comes not Velma, presenting herself as Linda Danvers, the alternate identity of Kara. And that is where we leave off on our cliffhanger. So, again, it's... Where do we want to start here, Andrew? I guess the first thing I'll say, just so I get out of the way and it's slightly positive, is this look Kara's rocking here. I am so gaga for this kind of look. This is what I was talking about. Like,
well, this is a classic Kara look for me. At least like post, starting with like Jeff Lebb's, and Michael Turner's version. So basically through that whole run there in the early 2000s, like that totally fits right in. Hey, what's going on, Reeve?
But I mean, like, specifically, like that, the loose tank top, the jean shorts, the, like, open strappy sandal look. That's the, like, California girl look that I grew up in, the SoCal California girl. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm in immediately. Do you want to go out sometime, Kara? Like, please.
Yeah, for sure.
So that, I guess that was that commentary. And then, yeah, so I guess I'll lead off in that, again, I think, in summary, or what am I trying to say? Why am I trying so hard to set this up? I'm with you. This issue was very mid. And so what I'm trying to get at when I keep bringing up how much Sophie loves the past of Kara, right? Is that I can see a lot of that love there with all of the references, all of the attention to her history, even bringing back Linda Danvers as the alternate ego. She hasn't used that.
Danvers, the yellow ring, the comb,
Candor, all of this stuff. It shows that I believe Sophie does really like the character. The problem is it feels like she's focusing too much on showing you that stuff. Like a modern Star Wars thing where it's like, this is how Han, it's kind of like Solo. Here's how Han got his ship and his vest and his name and his gun and his best friend and the dice that nobody fucking knew about at all. And all of a sudden they decided to make important out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's like, that's good. I can tell you're a fan. But then when I brought up the Supergirl show earlier, I did that. What made me remember that is that Sophie Campbell literally cited among her influences, it was the Supergirl TV show, the Supergirl movie, the Peter David run, and then Woman of Tomorrow. And she's like, these are all the ones I've looked at, and that's where I'm going to be drawing it from. Obviously, Andrew and I go, Woman of Tomorrow? Really?
Yeah, Woman of Tomorrow, really? And then there was also, I don't know how much of the interview you read that was inside of this.
Oh, yeah, I didn't yet.
Oh, okay. Like, there was a question that was like, what's a hot take
They don't have it in here.
About Supergirl.
That's weird.
Oh, they don't have it in that? Okay, yeah, they have it in the physical book.
We have the Dan Slott interview. Do you guys want to hear from Dan Slott?
No, not really.
Yeah, I have to wait for my foil variant to come in. Or I could read yours. I could commit the most cardinal sin of comic bookdom, which is cracking open another man's book and reading it and then putting it back in.
That's fine. But she's asked a question like, "What's a hot Supergirl hot take you have?" Right? And she says, "I don't like the skirt." And
Sophie said that?
Yeah.
Sophie was the one who brought the skirt back.
No, what it was is Stanley Lau was given.
Oh, that's right. Art Germ.
So Art Germ gave us the skirt, not Sophie.
Ah.
If it was up to Sophie, we wouldn't have the skirt, actually.
Ew, would we have... She doesn't have a good skirtless one.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
thing. Like, she doesn't have a good... It doesn't work. Superwoman has cool costumes that don't have the skirt. In fact, she should not have the skirt. But...
She should not have the skirt, and she should not have the vagina, like, metal plate.
Oh, gosh. That was the New 52 suit, man.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was super bad. But yeah, Supergirl I associate with whether you keep the midriff or you don't and have the bigger gold belt thing. I don't care.
And you know what?
Much.
I'll even give DC a personal, like, out with the midriff and the belt for women's fashion. That whether to show it, like, big belts, small belts, and then, like, showing midriff or not showing midriff, those are two of the things that always cycle in fashion. So like I can realistically believe that there's 2014, 15 there was probably a push against sexism, but then I am sure in more recent years it's more like it's 2022. We don't do midriffs anymore, and then it's 2023 and midriffs are in. Give Kara her midriff.
Exactly. And our man Art Germ was all for it.
Which is
God bless him.
God bless him. But so like that's to that point now. Like I didn't realize that, but that makes me go, okay, we're leaning into I don't like the skirt for whatever reasons. Like guys, just aesthetically. It is a good look. I can think of only one time Kara has worked with any sort of leg covering, like pure leg covering, and that was when she was a Red Lantern. But that works because she's supposed to be so opposite of herself, right? She's supposed to be that evil. Well, same philosophy with her Darkseid suit back in the Turner run. Like it works there because she's supposed to be evil. She's not her. But this is and follow me here because I'm gonna go a little. Y'all mind if a white boy speaks a little weird critical theory, guys? To me, I don't associate, like, yes, Kara is very attractive in the midriff suit, and she's an attractive woman as a character, always has been. When I see her in the skirt, I don't see it as, like, a sexy skirt. I see it as more of a, like bubbly skirt, right? Like, it's just her being a very, very happy girl. I don't, it's not, I might even go so far and say, like, this costume isn't specifically sexy to me. And so it's weird to me when everybody always leaps
I don't look at
that.
this. I don't look at this costume as that at all. If anything, the skirt that she had in the freaking Justice League animated series was more that.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Because that's a skin hugging mini skirt rather than mid thigh, length. Not ruffle skirt, but there's more loose.
Yeah.
Right. So I will never understand that position, but I'm also not weird.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're normal people. We're not thinking about that all the time. What do you think of this potential fake Kara plotline? Are you about it? Do you think there's anything they can offer here?
I'm not against it entirely. On it, like conceptually, I'm not against it.
Right.
What my guess is going to be is that this is just some Jane Blow who, when Waller did her nonsense with the power mix-up, this chick got the power of flight, but that's all she got, and she's like, hey, I could pose as Supergirl.
Oh, that's interesting.
But
I didn't
then
think about that. Yeah.
maybe I know how to do some techie things or whatever. That's why she doesn't actually she doesn't punch her. She doesn't do
Nope.
anything regarding super strength, at least from what we can see in this first issue.
Zaps her with the
next
like.
Yeah, she just hits her
thing.
with this goo and whatnot. And it's like, okay, so maybe she just has the power of flight and she's posing as Supergirl. Okay, but you got to make it more interesting for me than that. And I'll give you the chance to do it. This is just issue 1, but I don't know. I wanted to be hooked after this first issue, and I'm just like, where I'm at is, I'm not going to drop it yet. Basically.
But here's the thing: you're only not dropping it, and subsequently, I'm only not dropping it because it's Kara. If this was anybody else, it would be a Zatanna #1 for us again, where we went
exactly. And
not bad,
that's
not great,
accurate.
but
it was like, this isn't an awful issue. There are a lot of things to criticize. There are some things to praise. Again, credit to Sophie Campbell for knowing her Supergirl history. I think what we're seeing, though, is the difference between people who know their history and those who can also still apply it.
That's it. Yes,
that's
a perfect read of that.
Tell a new story with the context of that history behind them, rather than just being like, hey, I know about this thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That puts you in pretty rare air to even remember that thing, but can you use it in the story to a level of significance that tells me that you're a good writer as well?
Well, it sort of touches upon what we were talking about last week with consuming versus engaging with something. She consumed probably, I don't know her history, but kind of going off of what we see here, it feels like she consumed a bunch of facts about Supergirl. You know, she went to her wiki page, learned all of those past things, clicked on all the links like we all do when they're blue. She definitely probably watched and read all of that stuff. I'm not saying she didn't, but she, unfortunately, it seems like she approached it with this level of like, I need to have this. I just need to have the information so that I can speak on this, instead of like Andrew was saying, what does this mean for the character? How am I going to use all of this?
It's different. It's very different to say, I know that this thing is a thing.
Yeah.
It's different to be able to tell a story with it, a coherent story with it.
Exactly.
I think what I can't believe I completely forgot this. My immediate thoughts after I closed this book were, and while not a 1-to-1, it was giving me similar vibes to some degree to Supergirl being super.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In terms of Kara not,
I'm gonna do the old like reporter thing. Unpack that.
What I mean by that is Kara felt like she was being kind of bottlenecked into this very specific kind of teenage girl mentality when she's not that.
Yeah.
She's certainly not that here. In being super, she's a literal teenager in there. So it's like there's an excuse to a degree, but Mariko Tamaki's a trash writer and she wrote her horribly.
I was genuinely surprised that you even brought that up.
I regret ever reading that.
That's her chasm. That's Andrew's chasm moment.
Dude, I hate that book so much. I hate that book more than Woman of Tomorrow.
Honestly,
Woman of Tomorrow.
I think I can get behind that. I actually think I can get behind that.
And it's also a waste of Joelle Jones's art.
Again, they knew that it was going to be bad, so they put Joelle there so that everybody went, oh yeah. Like that first cover of like Kara, like teenage Kara looking up in the sky in her like her, I think it's like middle school or high school gym outfit.
She's in her high school gym outfit, and it's like, hey, that works.
I love that image.
That's beautiful. Joelle is also amazing as an artist. This gave me, again, not 1-to-1, but it reminded me. I immediately was reminded that book existed after I read this, and I was like, why? Why am I all of a sudden thinking about that book? I don't want to think about that book. And it put me in the mindset of like, okay, Kara feels very much like a teenager here, or like some very, not infantile, but inexperienced
Well,
Kara,
they're
which
playing
is
her
not what
as
she should be right now.
they're almost sort of playing her as the fish out of water. I just got here, Kara. Like,
And it's like she
in the
hasn't
sense of
been that for a really long time.
yeah, it's like where is this weird naivete coming? Because she,
This
yeah,
isn't
like
the
you
same
said,
Kara that we're seeing in Justice League Unlimited.
no,
This isn't the same Kara that we're seeing pop in briefly in the Superman book. You know, like Kara in those, while she's not getting much screen time, it does still at least come across as though this is a very much matured and more experienced Supergirl. And that's
100%.
what I was hoping that this was going to be. I just wanted a mature and experienced Supergirl wearing a more classic Supergirl outfit,
Me too. And
right?
like
Like
I was,
the
keep going.
one full suit
I'm trying to
and
flip our
jacket
thing.
that is Connor's look. You don't get that. Nobody else needs to have that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Get it off of her.
I don't like.
Yeah, this is an amazing piece. I love that
It,
piece.
it does the thing too that we praised the Spider-Man shot from Pepe last week of him swinging. She's upside down, and you don't realize that at first until you look at it, and you're like, "Oh, she's flying! Like she's out there! Like go, Kara!" But yeah, terrible book. In terms of the Supergirl, I was right there with you, and I was especially there with you because even with all the love we have for Kara, obviously she's kind of had a very rocky history of what do we do with her, right? Like
her publishing history in terms of like a solo is very hit and miss.
well, not even yes, that's not what I was like. That is true, but what I was more referencing is like just in general her roles, right? Like when we have Supergirl, if we introduce her earlier into whatever continuity we're in, it always those first stories of her coming to Earth pretty much always work. After that,
Yes.
it just feels like DC never really knows what to do with her. She's there and she's a super person, but and this isn't even them trying to be like, you know, virtue signally, but she just doesn't have a role. You know, Connor and John get to fulfill that really young, naive Kryptonian. You have Power Girl as the more senior Kryptonian who isn't 100% in the family, but she, you know, she's like your aunt. She's still invited to everything, but she's
like
not
the cool aunt.
Yeah, exactly. So she's around too. And then you go, okay, then you put Kara on a team and you go, okay, well, she doesn't really she's too sort of positive to be on the Teen Titans, and you always default to the Teen Titans being the really cliquey original guys. So where do we put her? And so she ends up, you know, put her on the League, put her on these random background panels, and then we hit a continuity reboot and we get another origin for her, and then we kind of lull again. And so
then we just kind of rinse and repeat.
Right. And so I was really hoping with, we are, you know, not only doing the all-in thing, but they're doing that. We're in like year 3 of them really hammering Superman. Like they were doing the Superman All-Stars thing, which I actually really liked, where they were doing a writer-artist team would do 2 or 3 issues of action, and then you would swap it up. I thought that was really cool. And that was their whole, you know, we're showing you what Superman can do, da-da-da-da. And then obviously we're in the summer of Superman now, and we've got the Superman movie coming. And so I was just like, this feels like...
I don't want to get on a rabbit trail about it, but that trailer, man.
We can't. There's just no way we will be able to...
We don't have the time.
You and I can't... We unfortunately just...
I am genuinely enthused for that movie more now than ever. That's
the problem. That's what I'm saying. Is like, even if Andrew and I were trying to be in our best behaviors and you had guns to our head, there's no way we could fit. We could be satisfied with how much we could talk about that Superman trailer. But yes, I am hyped. We'll talk about it later. We'll chat about it, because I was waiting until today to see if we had time, but I kind of knew we probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was hoping that for Kara, this would be that moment where we finally defined her, gave her something to do. Her Nightwing moment, almost, you know, not really the whole new identity or anything, but just this is who she is now. She has her niche in the universe. Let's carve it out. And unfortunately, like we've been saying, it's just retreading all this stuff. And I don't know who that serves. I don't know who really wants a weird young high school Kara like this. It's weird. And it's so hard because I don't.
At this point in her career, that's
right,
for sure.
not here. If you were doing this at the very beginning of, or like the New 52 continuity relaunch, which is what we're still currently in, or no, Rebirth. If you did this in Rebirth, it would have worked because you could have said Kara's been here for only 2 or 3 years or whatever, and
yeah,
bam, here we are. But once you show her leading like battles with Superman, she was in that fight against the Doomsday army. You can't go from literally facing down an army of Superman's only like enemy who can kill him, and then go back here and go, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. T-Heat. It's such a clash.
And that's just emblematic of what I said at the top of, after showcasing my Supergirl credentials, when my first thing I said about it felt like a
not gonna let anybody pull your card. Not gonna let anybody pull your card.
Yeah, it felt like a walk back of her character.
And so,
it almost feels like she's in a Peter Parker syndrome so far.
Oh shit! Yeah,
DC doesn't allow her to mature.
Oh my
DC
god!
Doesn't allow her to grow and actually become a full, mature, seasoned superhero. They always hit a plateau where it's like, that's enough. We got to reel her in now. We got to walk her back. And it's like,
why? Then why? Yeah, why even have her around anymore?
Yeah, people mature.
Or if you really don't have anything to do with her, once you reboot continuity, put her off for 5 years. You can save that Kara origin story in your back pocket if you're really that hard up for Supergirl stories.
Well, dude,
which you shouldn't be, but
for this continuity, they didn't bring Kara had been gone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like Supergirl had been gone for a while, and this is when they kind of did that, reboot of the character. Okay, we are reestablishing that she's Clark's cousin from Krypton, yada yada. She's, super young, and kind of rebooted the character there. And then they allowed her to grow over the course of that run.
Yeah.
She grew a lot. That was the most growth that the character had.
Well, that's what I was,
because of where they started her too. They started her at the most inexperienced, because actually
literally couldn't even speak English.
Yeah. If people who read the original Supergirl run or her original appearance remember, she kind of just popped up and then was already off to the races, and already hey, I'm a fully fledged superhero, and I can do this, I have all your same powers, Kal-El, and it's they started her all off the bat with that original incarnation already at Superman's level. With Jeff Webb and Michael Turner, they started her, yes, in terms of the abilities and powers she has, yes, she had that, but in terms of experience and her maturity and all that, they started her way at ground level, and then they let her grow. And some of the arcs of her growing into becoming Supergirl were fantastic. And I still love it's in the first arc where she starts getting into it. She gets into it with the Teen Titans, and then she
Batman,
gets into it with the Outsiders, and then it's oh man, she's just trying to figure everything out. She gets punched in the face by Power Girl, and then they're going
of course, if you get punched in the face, you're gonna fight back, and we all know oh, Kara, it's all a misunderstanding, but she's just kind of going hog wild.
Yeah, and it was just so well done. Right now, this Kara feels like she's Kara in that place in terms of growth and maturity, but without it actually making sense for her to be there, because she should now be that original incarnation, which is, she feels like she's a veteran. She knows what the heck she's doing. She can be a leader even.
Right.
And she's not that here, clearly. She acts like we get a couple lines that is Sophie telling us she knows
that's
what
a good
she's
point.
doing,
yeah,
but we never see really that she knows what she's doing,
and everything we see looks like a very unconfident young hero.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, I think that that he's got all my complaints about it. The only thing I think I have left to point out is you were saying, I'm open to the imposter Supergirl storyline or whatever, and I am in theory. However, in this book, here's what bothers me. I'm 900% sure this is Supergirl. like the fake one, the girl she saves from the falling rock, because like she saves her, the girl's like awestruck, and she's just like, wow, Supergirl, so cool. I like you're amazing, way better than Superman. I think that's her, and that's what bothers me is that, okay, maybe it's not, and if it's not, I'll eat crow, and you guys can whatever make fun of me on that stream. But it feels like that's who this Supergirl is, and it feels just sort of like you're giving it away that easy. You made it too obvious.
It kind of, I got that same read, though there was I don't know, it's comic books, so they could do whatever they want.
Of course.
Really, because, you know, that girl that she saves in Kandor is a string bean, whereas this one is like
she's thick,
up girl. Like she, you know, she's got that hourglass figure, which, hey, props to him, though that's never been Kara's figure.
Which is like another issue I have, which is how did everybody in Midvale not ask who this is? You have video footage of her. Like, she just saved the world.
And
like,
not even just that, because she calls her parents, and her parents hear her voice. Presumably,
that too,
this
yeah.
chick doesn't have the same voice as her. So, okay, maybe this chick here also has either some mind control powers or use some sort of a technology or potion or whatever to confuse them, whatever. Right now, everything feels like it's leading towards, in order for things to have an explanation, it feels like it's going to have to be something very contrived.
Contrived, exact. We're gonna get into, I mean, I think you touched on it. It's gonna be, because, okay, you said the mind control thing, and I think you might be onto something, because I thought it was weird that they open the door and they don't even think for a second like what's going on. They leap to like, you're mistaken, you're crazy, even though it's Supergirl. Like, they gotta know this is sort of, you get clones, you get doubles, you get time variants in her life. And yeah, so I can see that. But I think, like you said earlier, they're going to go, oh, here's this weird Kandor Kryptonian invention and some weird convoluted thing that makes it work. And it's just weird. It's I guess we'll see where it goes. Who knows? It's just, it's a Zatanna. It's a Zatanna right now. For me, at least.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It's a wait and see, and really, really hoping it gets better.
We are going to be really, really hoping. I want this to be good. We both want this to be good, guys. Trust us. We went into this really excited. And
I can't seem to get any of my favorite female superheroes, whether it's Marvel or DC, to like be treated properly.
What are you talking about? Emma got amazing treatment in an Infinity comic that may or may not be canon. And never will. Actually, somebody asked Tom Brevoort about that in his latest blog. They're like, are you going to do all the like Infinity comics in a physical? And he went, only the ones that really get popular. And I'm like, then what the fuck are you doing? What the actual fuck are you doing?
I hate everything.
Fuck you guys. But let's see. Where do I lead off of that? Supergirl, it's okay. You'll hear more from us as the series goes on. At least those art journal covers are going to be beautiful. Like, I want you to...
Yeah.
We're going to... You know what? Foil variant friends, our shinies, as Timon likes to call you or whatever. You and me, we're going to crowdfund. We're going to get some really nice, like... what are those, like, ghost displays or whatever? The ones that, like, they're frames, but then they're, like, hanging in the middle or whatever of, like, the glass. Like, we're going to get a bunch of those or whatever. We're going to get a really cool display for those. Because that's your girl. That's Art Germ. And they look fucking incredible. Like, they're just all really good.
This cover, every single cover that's Art Germ that they've previewed for this book is gorgeous.
I'm still
Art Germ.
Why aren't they all foil?
Is my second favorite artist who has ever drawn Supergirl.
After Turner.
Behind only Turner. So honestly, at that point, he may as well be number one. Because
I was going to say.
Turner he kind of wins by default. His covers for this run have been beautiful. They're absolutely stunning. And all of his stuff that he's done for Supergirl in the past have always been beautiful. And I've noticed something, that even when Supergirl her costume has been the like the stupid full body and jacket thing, he still always draws her with the crop top and skirt almost. Sometimes he'll do like the, with the big gold belt, and so there's no midriff, whatever. It still looks beautiful when he does it.
Yeah, but he very much loves that old costume, and he always does it. There's actually a really good cover he did. I don't remember what series it's for, but Kara is like, she's got her brown hair, but she's doing like she's taking off her glasses and opening her shirt for and you can see the classic suit under it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just like, that is such a cool cover. Like I love it cover so much. But guys, like for example, here is issue number 3. This is the cover that Art Germ did for 3.
Yep, Streaky.
Which is Streaky the Super Cat, who's actually in the main book as well, which I like to see.
I will say this. This is another.
And then this is what I was talking about. The casual, like
amazing.
I want my girlfriend wearing like both of these all the time.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't knock your taste.
For once. Oh my God, I got away with one for once.
He did. You were, for one moment, you were not mid-waifu mad.
Mark it.
I'm sure once we get to Uncanny.
Yes, we will. There is a moment. Yes, I have a Jubilee moment. Shut up.
Yep, it doesn't. You don't get away with it. But I just remembered this other knock to Sophie Campbell, and this isn't a trashing Sophie Campbell stream or anything.
No, it is not.
I will say this is more comedic than anything. There's another interview question that she answers that left me sus on her, and the question was, which super pet for Supergirl do you like more, Crypto or Streaky? And she answered Streaky. I'm
Get
like,
out.
You're a cat
Get that.
lady.
She's 1,000% a cat lady.
Crypto Bros.
Crypto Bros for life. All right. I'm going. Again, I think I said this yesterday on the Bounding stream, but like, I will admit, I will soy. My soy trigger is dogs. Like I will. That's the most Reddit thing about me. You put a dog in something. I think it's the most Reddit thing about both of us. We both go, puppy, doggo.
Excuse me.
I got him sick over the internet.
I know I'm supposed to. I know I make the joke that I like live and breathe wine. I'm not supposed to actually physically breathe wine.
The spray.
Oh my God. So, oh gosh, what was I gonna say?
Streaky, Crypto, Streaky.
Dogs.
Dogs. Yes, us being Reddit.
If you tell me that there's a dog partner in a game, I will lose my mind and I will probably play that game. Right?
I mean,
Final Fantasy 16, like you actually get to pet.
Well, I was literally about to bring
an achievement for it.
I was about to bring that up as the example because I was going to go, guys, he's not lying because he has both 16 and 7 Rebirth, like bought, ready to go. He hasn't started Rebirth, even though that is 7. That's his jam. It's Tifa's in there. But he started 16. He didn't play a lot of it, but he started it because he got Torgal. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to pet Torgal.
Yeah, so I was just like, this guy. Punk says
I'm going to buy the Play Arts Kai at some point.
Punk says that he's not a fan of either one. You know what? That's because I know you're a fan of Comet the Super Horse, and that's the only other acceptable option here.
I don't trust people who don't like Crypto.
I really don't either. Anybody who says Crypto bad, I want you out of my like.
I don't trust you.
I am fully, we're libertarians here. We're fully for freedom of rights, but I think in this one instance, if you say
there's also freedom of association, and you don't like Superdog, I don't have to associate with
Oh no, I'm never mind. Andrew's not on my side. I'm gonna go super like fascist here, and I'm gonna say if you don't like Crypto, I will send you personally to like the raft. I will build the raft just for anti-crypto people because there's something wrong with you guys.
There's something broken.
There is. I don't know how. How do
you not like Crypto?
Especially in the James Gunn movie, man. Come on, like I'm just.
How do you not like Crypto unless you're a freaking stupid Snyder bro?
Which I've seen way too much of that stuff, and I'm just like, it's so funny because this is. Okay, let's not get into it. This will be like, let's try to keep this the last thing I say.
Right.
But I
move to Uncanny in a moment.
Yeah. But I've seen so many like Snyder Bros trying to like get dings on it, like, oh, this is weird. It's so comic booky. It's so colorful. But
comic booky, yeah, that thing you've never read in your life.
Right, exactly. They're not getting any digs or they're not getting any like support though, because everybody is really jazzed about this trailer. Like, aside from the intellectually dishonest people you and I made this show to push back against. Everybody has been like, I'm at the very least open. It might be good. At least Superman. I'm not saying anything about the rest of the universe, but this looks like it could hit. So I can't wait. Maybe we'll get bored this weekend and you and I can replace our Saturday plans and we'll just talk about Superman. Who knows? But yes, let's jump away from a questionable title. And you know, a new title that's questionable to a mainstay that, again,
unquestionably still good.
It keeps going.
I know that I'm gonna jump way ahead.
Let's jump ahead.
Pull up the final page, dude.
It's
that
Marquez.
He's amazing.
Everything. That pose, dude. I went, we'll get into it, but like when I flipped the page and I saw her, I went, whoa. But then I like took it all in with that pose specifically, and I went, oh fuck. Like we might be a little fucked here, guys.
This design is incredible. But what is incredibly poignant about the pose and special about the pose here isn't just because it's hot as hell.
Oh, well, of course. It's Emma. This is Dark Emma.
If you take into context who this character is and what era she actually comes from, and you pair that with like what was considered like the sexy lady at that era, like you're kind of, you know, your Jessica Rabbit type, you know, think of the movements, the poses that they would maybe strike. That's doing your homework.
Yeah. No, Marquez.
What that is. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
And you know what? To both of their credits, like obviously Marquez has done his research, but we got into it last time.
Gail wrote into the panel descriptions, like, this is the imagery we're going for.
I wasn't even going for the imagery because I'm sure she did that, but I was going to compliment because, you know, we touched upon this last issue. Where we are in this story is, you know, that like 1910s South, you know, where racism is still abundant and all that sort of stuff. And Gail handles it all so naturally. And the way she writes Henrietta's voice and the settings and everything, it feels like I'm right there. It is crazy.
She understands the language of the time. It doesn't sound like a writer writing a character who's from 80 years ago, but they sound like they're today.
Right. It's like it is.
You see that all the time.
For example, like, so if you guys remember, our focus of this arc is we have plot A and plot B. And plot A is in the past. It is exploring this new mutant woman named Henrietta, Black woman making her way from, I believe, Chicago to like Missouri somewhere. New Orleans, I think is where she's going.
New Orleans,
yeah. Duh, because they're at the house. So she's making her way down there to like bury her mom. And so, you know, it's been harrowing so far. It's hard traveling as a woman. It's hard traveling as a Black woman. And she's already been hounded by...
And that's to be very clear. I think we mentioned this in the issue that she showed up. So this last issue. Mm-hmm. This isn't just your hand-fisted, like, race conversation insertion here. No, this is something that it makes sense for the time period in which we're discussing here.
Yeah.
But what Gail does well here, and I'm saying this in an era where you and I have been beating our heads against our desks about this whole mutants are oppressed thing. Yeah, because it's 2025.
Right.
But here...
You guys have stopped Onslaught. Everybody's cool with you. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, shut the hell up. Instead of her making the discussion about her race, she makes it about her potentially being a mutant.
Right. Which is amazing.
And while, yes, you can draw those parallels in this specific instance, and I think that's deliberate.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's done in a way where it doesn't feel like I'm being punched in the face with it, because I understand American history.
Right.
I understand
yes.
We were kind of dumb at one point, right? She does it without berating anyone. She does it without trash talking anyone.
It's not, well, it's that obviously, but even more so than that, it's that she's not pointing out anything, right? Like we go into this era and she's not being like
telling the story.
Exactly. It's just the setting we happen to be in.
Everything is in service to the story.
And yes, and there's
that is how it should always be.
And we pointed this out last issue. There were so many opportunities in that last issue for her to have had a dumb moment where somebody just, it wouldn't have ruined the entire story, but it would have just been one of those easy moments to have somebody throw in a dialogue box or a writing box from Henrietta about like, you know, they just an overt like racist movement against them to be like, remember when they were racist? And it's like, we know. Did you have to be that over the top about it?
Yeah.
That's why I really liked in the last issue when the inspector goes up to her, remember? And he's like, excuse me, miss, stop right there. I want to inspect your stuff. And he throws it out on the ground and just goes, oh, never mind, you're good. And then he lets her go. And we all know that he's allowed to get away with that because of the racism. But like we pointed out, he's not doing it to be racist. He's doing it because
that out. You infer that if
right.
you're knowledgeable enough to
yes.
know that. And it doesn't take a rocket science to know that. But again, like you just said, they don't point at it.
Which is, it's so good, guys. Like, let's get into it because Gail's writing, like Andrew said, I really want to hit that. It does, I felt transported back to this time period. So you guys might not know this about me. You might. I graduated from college with a BA in English literature because I know it's a useless degree, but I knew everything was going to be useless and I could at least do something I liked. So I know a lot of old literature from across the world, Americana and all that stuff. Everything I know of this, you know, antebellum South era, this captures it right down to the dialogue, the interactions. It is stunning. I'm baffled.
The interactions between, was it George?
Yeah, George.
George and Henrietta are wonderful.
That's what I was going to point out. Yes.
Comes across as the perfect Southern gentleman, and you know their interactions feel authentic.
They're so good, and even in this first interaction, that's what I wanted to get to is. Just check out this dialogue from George, guys. I'm going to read it out for you in case you guys aren't paying attention. I'm not going to do the entire thing because good Lord, you guys know I'll get into some racist tone by accident and I'm gone. But, you know, so Henrietta's waiting.
Cancel him.
Canceled. Henrietta's waiting for a ride to her next location after she's arrived in New Orleans. And this young man, George, who is she doesn't know who he is, but he's been sent there to pick her up. He obviously knows she's coming. And so, you know, he says, Miss Henrietta, I understand you're in need of a ride. Will you do me the honor? And she says, oh, but I'm afraid I don't know you, young man. Why? I'm George, Miss Henry. My uncle is a porter. He said to treat you right and get you where you're going. Like, very well then, George. I shall be delighted to accept your offer. Do you have a car, George? Oh, I got a fine truck, miss. A working truck. My boss can't drive anymore. He don't care if I use it for escorting proper ladies all the way from Chicago safe. That is all that era's like grammar and like it's so perfect. It's so on point.
It's perfect. And then I love that they have the symbol in the hat.
Yep, like right? That's how he's tipping his hat. Like, ma'am, like I really liked that too, especially because she was running into that problem last time of like I can't flash the symbol because somebody will see it and they'll know. So I was like, ooh, let's keep going. Before I turn the page. Punk, no, that's not actually Emma. I just meant it thematically. It's because she's all black and then Emma's all white.
Yeah, well, also like Emma would do something like that in terms of like her movement and manner of dress. Absolutely.
You know when we have those moments in like the big crossovers where all the heroes show up and they're in their hero poses or whatever? Like that's Emma's hero pose. Is like
Emma's hero pose is looking like a sex bot.
Hell yeah.
As it should be.
As it should be. But yes, guys.
This is the way.
So as we keep getting into it, so she accepts the ride from George. The Pinkerton agents are still following her. The guy still the boss of them, I guess. I don't know what the ranks are here or whatever. But the mustache
that hasn't been made super clear.
Yeah, the red-haired guy who's giving orders. He is obviously on Henrietta's butt because he suspects she's a mutant. I don't know if you caught this, but I did, and I don't know if it was intentional, but if it was, it's a very good, like, little subtle thing. But the underling says, like, okay, we'll follow them. They won't spot us. And the leader or the boss goes, Andrew, the weight of the worries I have on my shoulders would crush your foolish spine. It is my duty as a sentinel of our purity. Be careful for once and fetch the car. Sentinel. And I was like, oh, man, that's so good. Like, oh, crap.
I was like, I see you, Gail.
Yep, me too. I was like, that's what I like to see. So
I was like, I see you, and I give you a high five.
God, she's so good at this book. So I'm gonna do the thing we did last time. I'm gonna keep on like one story, and then we'll go to the other one because otherwise we're gonna be really weird and jumping all over the place.
We'll both seem like we're as ADHD as you are.
Yeah, right. And you guys don't need a double dose of that. But
I'm the balance.
He really is. He's the smart one. He's the calm one. I'm the one who will get you the information, and he'll make sure you understand it. So he's the Mav whisperer, if you will. So so Henrietta gets in the car. Her and George start making their way to the location that she's getting to. As they're going, they encounter, a bunch of orphans that are just crossing the street. And it's not a really important scene to the story, but I wanted to highlight this as sort of what we were talking about with Gail, where this is a moment where again, they're recognizing the humanity here. It's not about that's a white kid, this is a black kid. It's oh, black people are going through racism, and then white people have a struggle over here too. And even Henrietta and George, they are both sympathetic to that, right?
They both feel horrible that these little kids don't have homes. They're being, because Henrietta asks, are they orphans because their parents died or whatever? And George's response, no, but it's because their families are poor and they can't afford them. They can't afford to feed them. And so instead of them just starving, they are putting them up as orphans so that at least they can eat. And that's heartbreaking. It's
so heartbreaking. But then the light in it that comes from it is what Henrietta writes right here. And it's what really got me and made me go, holy shit, is this Earth 3, Simone? What the hell happened? Because she goes, we pass by and I see the hopelessness on their faces. Mother, it is then that I realize we are on the same journey to find a new home and hope that there's room for us and love and a place at the supper table and the ability to remember who we were before. And then please watch over us all, Lord. That is sort of that thing. A lot of people like me and Andrew and all of us in our sphere, yes, maybe white people don't have the same racist struggles that black people do, but we have equal troubles. There are still struggles that they go through.
It's not like there aren't freaking poor ass white people out there.
Right. So why do we have to
just absolutely destitute? That's not a skin tone exclusive thing.
Exactly. But so many people want to make it that and that has led us to this place where we are in society where everybody is just cruel. Everybody is looking out to, oh, if you're not in my immediate camp, I don't care about you. You're my enemy. And I was like, where's this? We need more of this, showing that we are all human. We all have different struggles, but we all should be commiserating in that shared struggle.
This is the perfect example of utilizing universal truths,
and
universal struggles, and things that can apply to anyone and everyone. That's how you maximize how many people can really latch onto your story and your characters. And because you're going to have people who are black, who are white, who are Hispanic, who are Asian, who are anything. You're going to have examples of people who see this and they're like, I get that.
Right. And they'll read that.
And it doesn't matter what color skin the character on the panel is.
Right.
They'll read the words. They'll read the sympathetic.
You hit it.
And empathetic dialogue and internal monologue from Harriet.
And
they'll say, I wish I had heard those words when I was younger and going through whatever destitute situation I was going through. Completely irrespective, again, of the skin color, the character on the screen. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is the stuff that's happening to you, to the experience.
And even to emphasize that, again, Henrietta and George, they're black. They just got out of slavery. We would understand if they were I don't really trust white people. We would understand it. Gail would have a harder time writing that in a way that didn't sound like shit. But we would understand
especially here when we're talking about little kids.
Yeah. But the fact that Henrietta and George, they don't see they used to be our masters or they could grow up to be our future masters. They just see suffering. Another human being is suffering.
They have empathetic and bleeding hearts for them.
So I just loved this little scene. I don't know if it's going to apply to really the rest of the story, but I was like, good job, Gail. Good job.
No, we'll see.
But then as they keep proceeding, they eventually get to the end of the paved road. So they have to start taking a horse wagon to where they're going. When they get out of the car, the Pinkertons step out and they go, freeze, we're taking you in. George immediately leaps to protect Henrietta. They take that as an attack, blast him in the chest. He's down. He's dead. That causes Henrietta to freak out. She finally lets her mutant powers out.
And she kind of scary.
Dude, she gets wild. And this is what's crazy. She's so, as we've just seen, and in the last issue, she is the sweetest little Southern thing, right? Like, she loves her mom. She loves God. She was,
yeah, I was literally, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say she was praying to the Lord.
Right, yeah. Like even back then, like the last page, like, oh, the children, my heart breaks for the children. Like, sweetest little thing. And then George gets hit, and she just goes
just a hair too far.
Exactly. And we have seen that she has the powers. She just hasn't unleashed them. We saw her eyes glow. Now we see what it is. She's apparently able to manipulate stone in some way. It's not entirely clear, but it's also not something we need to think about that hard. You know,
it's not important to the story in this issue what exactly her powers are. Maybe in next issue we'll find out.
Right.
You know, in the present, considering what happens in the A plot, but I think it just kind of looks really freaking cool.
No, it looks amazing. So Henrietta, you know, takes her fight to the Pinkertons, smacks the little guy out of the way, you know, goes up to the boss and just looks like Satan incarnate, right? Like, well, Mr. Miller, what are we going to do with you? And that is where we find Henrietta. This is Henrietta. She is somehow alive on the last page of this book. She's still alive here in 2025. Now, all of that fun praise of good writing and just sort of like solid storytelling. Let's get back to Remy. Let's get back to our favorite young X group, because, oh my God, I love everybody. Everybody keeps getting such good development. I love these four to death. I love Remy and Rogue. It's just this damn book. So if you guys remember, we last left off with Death Dream leading the Outliers into that weird X building tomb, or what's it called? Like a mausoleum. And they found Man-Thing down here. And so Death Dream is, you know, he's being his weird self, and he basically tells them, we got to go into that door, but you can't get through unless you're not afraid of Man-Thing, right? Because as we all know, whoever knows fear shall burn at the touch of the Man-Thing. Yeah. So we get this instance, and so what happens here is Death Dream says you have to be honest with him about why you're a mutant, and because this is a mutant like area. So each of the Outliers go up to him and say, here's my power, here's who I am, I'm a mutant. And on one hand, it makes sense narratively, but I'm also thankful, Andrew, because we finally know what Ransom's powers are. We didn't know exactly what he was doing, but now we know he's like Sebastian Shaw. He just like absorbs energy.
We were kind of able to infer a little bit, but it wasn't like laid out there clearly for us, because there was that fight that he had with Logan.
Yeah.
Each time he got hit, it seemed like he was just getting stronger.
But they never like addressed it or said anything.
It was never spoken about or addressed beyond that.
Or even like a little thing where he says like, oh, you shouldn't have like made me stronger like that or whatever. Like nothing.
Yeah, we were given nothing. Now we actually know definitively what his powers are. And while I don't know if it also applies to like, because like with Shaw, right, you have like, he could absorb even energy and things like that. Like, I don't think we've seen
we haven't
do that. It's all been like
he says he can. He says he can here, but we haven't seen him take an energy beam yet and redirect it or anything. So maybe Gail and David don't exactly know how his powers want to work yet, but at least we have a baseline of it. So another thing, I love this page, Andrew. Just, you know, the layout, like everything.
The layout's really cool because you have the X symbol there that the vines make.
And then the X symbol made by their dialogue, like just perfect. So yes, Ransom reveals that he is like Sebastian Shaw. He can redirect energy. Death Dream, we already sort of knew his powers, but he reiterates, I can go in between death and life, and then I can also control the spirits of the dead. Jitter explains, for a minute, I can become I can get any skill set in the world. I can be the best at anything, but it's only for a minute. And then Calico comes in and she says, I have a special bond with my horse Ember. I can give us powers, whatever I can imagine. He's my friend. So first off, this is so interesting to me. Again, I know I'm a Calico fangirl or a fanboy, but that like all we've seen her do so far is create those weapons and the armor for Ember. So if she just says, I can give us powers, I'm torn because this is Calico. She's the innocent one. She doesn't really know the right terminologies for everything yet. But also, like, does that mean we're looking at a possible like Legion here and we just don't know it yet? Like a reality warper might be cool. But then even more so, we get I'm gonna spaz about this for a second. But as they give their revelations, Calico goes, Man-Thing won't let me through. And Death-Dream goes, you're not being honest. You need to be honest. And she starts freaking out. She's like, please don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. And Jitter's like, it's okay. Just talk to us. And we learn Ember isn't real. The real Ember died in that fire that killed her mom. And she doesn't know what the hell that thing is. Even though it's been by her side, it loves her to an extent, right? Like we saw when it was like yelling at Rogue, remember? During like the
knows about it. So that leads me to believe that maybe it's the spirit of Ember or something like that. Maybe the bond that she formed because of her powers.
Yeah.
Maybe she was able to form a bond so deep with her horse that it like she manifested its spirit, its soul, whatever you want to call it,
as the horse.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, even like that would work in my reality warper like theory, but that would also just work if she has like that fire manifestation power. She just literally manifested a fake Ember. So I hit that. So
and that also makes it more poignant of why it's always fire.
Right. Oh shit. I didn't even realize that. You're right, because it was the barn fire.
Her only friend was that horse and it died in fire.
Gail, you mad woman. I so much subtleties I'm not picking up on. But yeah,
the only thing that so the two things, she loved her mother. Her mother clearly didn't really love her.
Yeah, it was very manipulative.
And she loved this horse as her only friend, right? And both of those things were taken from her by fire, and she always manifests her power.
Always manifested as fire. Fuck. Please let Gail stay on long enough to get into like Calico's story. Please don't give this book off. Like, please, Marvel. But
like, that's some multi-layered, right?
But like I hit this and I got hit with the shock of like that heartbreak of like, oh my God, that's not him. And then like that tinge of anger of like, why isn't that him? And then I went like, but this is actually damn good storytelling. So I can't really be mad because Gail, that is a perfect like way to do like this twist. I was just like,
well, and because and also like Ember clearly would have died before the story started. Right. So we can't apply
we don't even
the
know.
Same as like having seen Ember get killed, right?
Right. Yeah,
or
you're totally right.
Or whoever. It's not the same.
Sparky! We still don't know where he is, but
still don't.
Yeah, we learned that Death-Dream knew about it. Everybody sort of goes like, why didn't you tell her? And I like this because it's that, sort of coming of age moment. He doesn't know how to interact with people. He thought he was doing legitimately.
He doesn't understand emotions. He knows what they are, but he doesn't understand them.
But he also knows like I care about these people. I need to like learn emotion at least. Almost it is very much like autism, but it's not. They're not doing that. I don't even think they're doing a parallel. They're just doing.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing an autism commentary here.
No, I'm just pointing to that as sort of like
you can use
a
it
reference.
As a comparison.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I do not think that is what's in play here. It's just very similar to, if you guys have seen anybody in real life who is maybe really autistic, it's very similar to that. So he's trying to learn emotions, be there for his friends. So he thought he was doing the right thing by not making her cry and sad, hurt her more. But I love that everybody, it's not the cheap drama. Everybody goes, hey man, we get it. You weren't trying to hurt her, even though it did. And we know you're learning, and it's okay. We're all still
we don't
together.
Get the how dare you, blah 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 blah.
As soon as this mission is over, yeah, exactly. Like I'm out of here.
You're off the island, or whatever the hell people used to say. Right?
Yeah. Oh God, I learned that show was still going, and I'm baffled by that. But after that admission, Man-Thing opens the door, and I'm going to leap forward to where it actually picks back up with him. So they get inside, and they go, "What's going on here?" And they start hearing a voice saying that this is a mausoleum holding the souls of everybody who has ever harmed a mutant. And they, Death-Dream starts saying, I've been called here ever since we, kind of formed up. Not even when they got to Haven House. Like, since we got together as a unit, I've felt this pull. And she goes, yeah, I mean, so the voice goes, yes, I was pulling you. I was calling you here because I need somebody to take over. Somebody needs to guard this mausoleum in my stead. I am so tired. I just want to leave. And Death Dream's like, I don't want to do it. And she goes, could be any of you. And then everybody goes, who are you? And that's where we get Lady Henrietta. So that's where she comes in. Lady Henrietta is apparently guarding over this tomb of people who hurt mutants. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where Gail's going with this. I'm curious.
I'm super intrigued by it. I want to see what's behind that door. I want to see what Henrietta's been up to.
Henrietta also seems to understand something malevolent
about
maybe her existence or her powers by way of her seeming like she doesn't necessarily have an issue with the fact that she's locked up down there.
No. She's tired. Well, that's what she says. Someone needs to guard the door, and I am god-awful tired, Hotoru of Dreams. And it's like, she knows it's a duty. She's still a hero because she's like, I'm not leaving my post. But she also was like, I just need a break, please, like anybody else. But unfortunately, it looks like if you take the job, you're there forever, right? Simpson style. So that is where we leave off with them. Now, let's get to the C plot, if you will, because this is where just the book keeps being amazing. If you guys remember, Remy is currently meeting with I forget what his name is, but
it's the serpent that he took the other Eye of Agamotto from in issue 1 that can also transform into this dragon thing.
Yeah. So if you guys remember, the dragon is here because he says, I want the eye back and I'm going to make you a deal. I know I said I'd be back for it in a year, but I'll take it back early now. And in doing that, I'll save you, because if you held on to the amulet too long, you're going to turn into a cannibal. And so that's where he is talking to Remy last issue. Here, Remy gives his, decision, and he's like, nah, I think I'm going to hang on to it. And the dragon goes, okay, that's fine. And I like that the dragon doesn't like fight him and doesn't like freak out. He just goes, all right, like that. Your funeral.
I offered you a bargain, but yeah,
But then they also like keep hanging, like they're still bros after that. Like, he's like, since we're getting along so good, you go and tell us how this endling thing is.
I don't even think it's so much bros as like the dragon. I think with anybody else would have been totally chill with just killing them, eating them, whatever.
So like a mutual respect.
Remy, I don't even know if it's necessarily that. I think it's Remy's charisma, honestly, and how entertaining of a person he is.
I can see that
around. I think the same reason why the rest of the X-Men, who like otherwise are completely polar opposite to him in personality, enjoy having him around, because he offers both a levity but also a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Not resilience, but a reassurance.
A reassurance, yeah.
They know he's a powerhouse, and they know he can be a leader and lead when it's necessary. And so I think maybe, there's some respect there, but I think it's really just like, this guy's kind of fun to be around. Like, I think I'm okay with him. He's all right by me.
You know what? I think there's probably more of that. I do think there's a little respect, because when he first showed up, Remy was like, I don't fucking think so. And that's when they had to do the whole like Savage Land travel and fight the dinosaurs. So I think there's it's all rolled into it. But
respect is definitely part of it. But I
think
that's
what I mean. Yes.
You know what? You're all right by me, type of a thing.
Yes. That's exactly what I was about to say. Took the words right out of my mouth. But who he's not okay with is Rogue, because as Remy and the dragon are coming back from the Savage Land, Rogue just pops out of nowhere and knocks the hell out of the dragon. Like, this is in terms of art, that reaction shot of the dragon like getting hit, that is that is power. Marquez went, that's a power shot. He's not like just, head back. The dude,
she wasn't just trying to like, knock him back.
She was going for a kill.
Yeah, she was going for the throat.
Like, again, remember guys, Rogue doesn't know what this is. She just sees, my husband got abducted by a dragon. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. on ABC. So after that, Rogue,
it's an anime. That time I was abducted by, time my husband was abducted by a dragon.
Well, it's yes, let's get on that. Everybody, don't forget you heard that. This is our $1 million idea. But it's funny you bring that up, because I was actually going to say, so what happens next is we get this drag down, I wouldn't even say fight. Rogue just sort of manhandles the dragon from here on out. She's like throwing it around. She's
Well,
tossing it into the
clearly
atmosphere.
Here, she's channeling that super strength here.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she's going
hard.
near binary form almost. But there was this moment here, so she flings him up, and then Remy says, and she already up in the atmosphere. So I went like, you like pinged up. In my mind, this is a perfect, like, it's hard to do in a static medium, but I think like they were going for, this is an anime fight, right? Like things are pinging. Rogue is like going up into the air, hanging for a second, and then like slamming the dragon back down. As soon as the dragon's there, she's like, bam, like right next to him. Remember that shot in
She grabbed his tail right there in the
yeah, and
inset
just
panel.
Bowser's him and just like throws him out of there. Remember that scene in the first Dragon Ball Z movie, or one of them, the Tree of Might one? No, the Tree of Might one.
That was movie 2 or 3.
Two or
I
three.
always mix
I
up
know,
World's
I know.
Strongest and Tree of Might, whether it's 2 or 3. I always do.
Those, yeah, same here, because, well, that's also because Toonami was weird about how they were airing them or whatever when we were kids.
Yeah.
But remember in Tree of Might, there's that one shot where when Goku first starts fighting all of Turtle's forces, and he gets like punched back, and he like he does that thing where he like touches on the ground and he like puts his foot down and he's still sliding, but then he like ramps back up and like launches back into the air. That's what I see Rogue doing here. Like she's just no stopping. She's just full head. Like, we are going for a fight. And yeah, she manhandles the ever living hell out of the dragon to the point where he goes, you know what? You know what? Fuck it. And he gets ready to just like Blue Eyes White Dragon blast this, not just Rogue, but all of Haven House. And that's where, you know, all of a sudden Nightcrawler and Jubilee wake up and they're like, what the hell is going on? And they just see, boom, Ice Blast. And the dragon said, I'm sick of this shit, and just froze Rogue. That's, and then just left. Like, she'll be fine, almost certainly. No promises.
He had enough of her business. He froze her and is like, all right, I'm out.
And then I like this part where he's like, last chance, you gonna give me the eye? No, then you'll be like me. And then he looks over at Nightcrawler and Jubilee, and he's like, he's gonna eat you both, you know. And so from there, he does leave, but before he leaves, this is the Jubilee moment I wanted to point out. He sniffs Jubilee and says, you know, she, like, why are you crying? And she's like, you remind me of someone. And he goes, yeah, I do. He misses you. Go see him. Now, I don't know how, obviously, if you're not a Jubilee fan, you probably don't remember this, but kind of like Supergirl, she's gone through a long era of like, what do we do with her? After her introduction story as like the teenage mutant. Jubilee. Yeah, Vampire Jubilee. Oh boy. But then as part of that, right in the era before the Krakoa era, she adopted a mutant kid who got like orphaned and abandoned, and his name was Shogo. And we learned later on that his mutant power was to turn into a dragon, and he's connected to like the mystical dragon realm. And at the end of like some X-Men run about like 7 years ago, she was like, okay, you should go live there for a little while because you're clearly like, you're sick, like you're homesick. Go, please. Kind of like, what is it? Pidgeotto or Pidgeot for Ash, right? Like, that's exactly what she did.
Finally evolves into Pidgeot and then lets him go. Like, what the hell?
Bye. You'll come and help me whenever I need help, right? Like, oh, sure, buddy. Yeah, I'll willingly go get my ass kicked for you because you're a bad trainer. Sure. Yeah, I'll pick up the phone. Don't worry. But that is who he's referring to. And I always liked that bit about Jubilee. It felt like a good progression for her to sort of be, I was the young, immature one, and now I'm taking care of like the youngest, immaturest person in our roster. So I just like that somebody remembered that he existed, because Krakoa didn't even acknowledge him. And I'm not even joking about that. And that just made me super angry, because her stories with Shogo are great. So I was like, my jaw dropped. I went, no way did Gail just reference who I think she referenced. Sure enough. But then after that, we get this moment between them where, well, it's sort of just like a wrap up moment. Remy goes, can anybody unthaw ice? And Wolverine goes, I got this. And he just comes out with the implication that he's about to whittle away the ice just to get rid of it. Then we also have one of the best lines I think has ever been in an X-Men thing ever. Yes. Because if you guys remember, they're hanging out at Haven House, which is the orphanage that Remy grew up in Louisiana, in New Orleans. And the the caretakers, you know, they're your down south Southern Christians, right? Like, do your chores, take care of each other, you know, praise the Lord, read your Bibles, you know, no swearing. So they've been they're putting up with the mutant stuff, but they also realize it's getting like, you know, there's a lot going on around them. So they just step out in this moment and they go, for the love of our Lord, will you please learn to put on your britches before you fight monsters in our front yard? And I'm just like, that's the X-Men. Like,
that line was amazing. That line was absolutely amazing.
Because how many times do they just like get in their underwear, or like they turn everything into their own personal battleground without sort of thinking about where they are? And I was just like, yeah. I love this couple so much. I know something bad's gonna happen to them, but I really don't want something bad to happen to them.
I hope nothing bad happens to them.
But yeah,
I will mention one last little thing before we end.
This is your couple here.
Yes, you know, Remy and Rogue for sure, but I don't know if I can think of a single instance, and maybe because you're a bigger fan of her than I, for sure. I can't think of a single instance where I've seen Kurt and Jubilee interacting that closely.
No, we actually haven't. What we've seen of them is sort of, they've been on the same team, and they've had, like, you know,
very surface level,
right? Like you know, if you were on, I mean,
Kurt is closer to like Wolverine,
yes,
and you know, a couple other characters.
Oh yeah, Wolverine's like his best friend.
Yeah, this to me was like, what's, and I don't think necessarily Gail is gonna like ship them or whatever.
Right.
I think though that you have an opportunity here to endear Jubilee to, I mean, at least certainly me.
Yeah.
Start having some like interactions on like a deeper,
a personal
surface level
yeah,
thing with a character that I do care about, like Kurt, who
yep,
is my favorite X-Men. So I saw that panel and I was like, okay. Like, are we gonna get some like deeper interaction again? Not necessarily romantic.
No,
like,
yeah.
Are we gonna get some character stuff between them? Because that would be cool. I'd be up for that.
And you know what? I had that same takeaway, because you're right. I mean, we haven't even really, outside of that Shogo stuff I was just talking about, we've never really had Jubilee, again, really have a role, like an emphasis. So, like remember when we read the free comic book day of Uncanny like 2 years ago, we went, whoa, that's like cool. Like Jubilee did something actually cool. Both of us.
Something cool with her powers.
A non-fan and a fan both went, holy that's not what we were expecting from Jubilee. And so I'm hoping that this is going to lead into that. And because I had that same reaction, and I didn't think it was romantic at all. I saw it as it's Kurt, you know, being the loving Christian, just good-natured guy he is, sees Jubilee crying and goes,
compassionate.
Exactly.
Which is meant to be implied, like whether people are religious or not, like that's meant to be a heavy emphasis when it comes to Christianity. Compassion is supposed to be,
and we see that a lot from him.
Right. And yes, that's consistent with his character. And so I like that it looks like Gail might be leaning into that and applying that.
I hope so.
Through him with Jubilee.
Because if you think about, you know, if we go meta for a second, Andrew, and we just like look at what we're looking at in terms of publication, Rogue and Remy have their, you know, dynamic in this book, which is also including Logan, not in the romantic like love triangle, but we know that like
Logan has a special relationship with each of them.
Exactly.
That are just completely different levels.
And also
there's this weird like brother-sister relationship
with him and
Rogue, right? Where, and it's like to such a level where, you know, like, and we saw it a few weeks ago, right?
We did.
Where he would freaking die for her and she would die for him.
Which is so good.
Then, and it was, Gail masterfully wrote that. And he has this like, not brother and brother, but still brotherly.
You know what it is
with Remy?
With Remy, I feel it's the one of like, damn it, where's Dylan? I have a perfect Scrubs reference, but he's not here. But more general. Don't worry. That was just one where I'm like, I could have used that. But it's more of like they might not always be like, you know, chatting or texting or hanging out. But, you know, if Logan came back from space and everyone went, oh my God, you're alive, Remy would go to that party and they would do the thing where they like raise a beer from across the bar and be like, you know, I got you, you got me. Silent, you know, masculine acknowledgement.
Kind of like mutual respect to where they know they can rely on each other in a pinch.
And they've been through so much. So they're like, brothers in arms in the trenches. And then you've got, you know, Nightcrawler, you know, all the 4 kids have their dynamic. Nightcrawler and Jubilee have just sort of been here so far. Yeah. Right?
So that would really do a good job if Gail goes that route. Of cementing them as more than just being like side characters.
Like give them development, give them their time, their focus, their arc. And I trust her to do it. I know Chuck says, I'm still pressing X to doubt on Gail and Kelly. I'm still needing an absolute Wonder Woman #1 before I send the 2 of you to the guillotine. We will give you permission to pull the rope if you feel that strongly. That's you are the official foil variant executioner, Chuck. But even that's what, you know, I bring that up because I do trust Gail at this point. We are a year and a half into this book, and she keeps hitting it.
Yeah, we're 14 issues in.
Yeah,
now. And so she is
14 issues plus that Xavier one shot that came out of nowhere.
That was just like, what? So she has at this point built up enough leniency and wiggle room for me to be like, okay, now I'm just genuinely curious to see what you're going to do from
her. Right.
And if there ends up being an issue that misses the mark, it's not going to ruin it for me.
No.
Because she's built up some goodwill, as long as like if there is that issue that like she gets right back on track, cool. Because she's done a phenomenal job and showcased that she understands these characters and understands how to write them in new stories. Like we're not like, there have been a couple of moments where it's like, yes, because of the location or whatever, like they have to touch on the whole mutants are looked down upon right now, blah, blah, blah.
But they don't even like,
that's meant to be, meant to be like just the stat. That's the publishing editorial status quo right now with mutants. That's not a Gail thing. That's like, she's working within the continuity that she is being presented with. And
she couldn't ignore it.
She's choosing not to focus on it.
Because you know, but she to that point, like she can't fully ignore it, like you said, because it still is in that continuity. So we would all be here being like, yes, thank you, Gail, for ignoring it, but also, you know, this is going on at the same time. We have to address it. It would then
be inconsistent. So you have to have that balance of like, okay, so I don't necessarily want to deal with this. I'll acknowledge that it exists, and then I'm going to move on and continue telling a good story, which is what she's doing.
Even to that, like, I mean, yes, she had to deal with the director and Graymalkin and everything, but really the only, like, anti-mutant sentiment thing I can think of from her was that one interaction with Jubilee and Nightcrawler in the town, where
and
like
it was that what was the police officers?
And he was just sort of reacting off of like, it's the law, like you're a mutant, I have to arrest you. And then that woman was like, leave him alone. But we didn't get into this whole big rigmarole, and we also didn't spend a lot of time on it. We kind of just did it, moved on. And then even though I think you and I complain about the mutant persecution thing, I think we're cool with like your villain being like, I want to kill mutant, like I hate them. So that's why like the director, we're okay with her trying to get them killed and all of that stuff and trying to get them hated, because that is what she should do.
She's the villain.
We just hate that we exist in that status quo of, you beat Onslaught, you beat like all of these villains, we all hate you still. It is weird. It is weird, but Gail is not weird. This book is not weird. It is fantastic. Guys, please pick this up if you haven't. We say it every week. I'm going to go to each of your houses at the end of the year, and I'm going to inspect your bookshelves. And if you don't have this book, straight to jail, straight to the camps. I don't care. You're out of here.
Straight to Graymalkin.
Straight to Graymalkin. Straight to Graymalkin. But with that, I think we will jump from Graymalkin to getting us the heck out of here. We're coming up over the limit. I know we went a little long, but hey, yes, we went a little long, but we also kept that really tight, and it was going to happen. It was Supergirl, guys. You're not getting a short episode out of us anywhere when Supergirl's on topic.
No, sorry, I'm here.
Oh, Lord. I just realized if we were doing this show during Superman or during Flash, we would have had like a 3-hour, 4-hour marathon stream of Andrew going off about that depiction of Sasha Calle's Supergirl. It would have been fantastic. It would have been great. But luckily, we weren't here for that. Or I guess that is kind of sad, because now I'm saying like, oh yeah, we weren't friends then, but whatever, guys. You know what I'm trying to say. With that, we are done for the week. Really good books that came out. Go check out Uncanny if you're not. Go, don't check out Gwenpool at all. There's Godzilla versus X-Men, which is probably going to be good. I haven't cracked that open yet. There's an Ultimate X-Men this week. There's lots of good stuff. So go out there. Don't worry about that new Spider-Verse crossover. Who really cares at this point?
Oh yeah, I saw the covers at my shop, and I was like,
there weren't even any good variants. I was really worried. I was like, man,
the best cover is the cover A. Honestly.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's this stupid one. Well, not that stupid one. It's that stupid one.
Yeah,
and I'm just
the best cover, and I'm like, cool. All of these people, I care about exactly 2 people on this cover, and that's the ones in the foreground. That's
actually, you don't care about the one in the front because that's an alternate universe Eddie. All right, that's not our Eddie, but you do care about the one. Yeah, they established.
I guess that would make sense considering Eddie's actually right now.
Where he is right now.
Oh, so
but,
I give even less
no. You do care about 2. Don't worry. There's because you got Peter. That is our Peter. But that's Flash. Yeah, that's Flash. That is our Flash. They established that's our Flash. So, I know you like him.
He doesn't have anti-venom on him?
No, he's got the Agent Venom suit because they brought him in, and then the symbiote hive went like, "You're fighting on our side, so you got to be a symbiote." And he went, "What the heck?" And again, it's not good. This isn't a good series. This was kind of cool. I do want to show you this specifically, Andrew. They open up with this like 3-page comparison between Peter and Eddie's lives, and it kind of parallels it, and it's just a really neat sort of art experiment. Doesn't really revolutionize everything, but it's interesting seeing the parallels. And then it goes trash, but I like that bit.
All right.
But yes, with that, let's get our butts out of here. I know Andrew has a lot to do. I've got a lot to do. Andrew has some video games to go play, I am sure. So, how do we normally end these things? Why am I asking myself that? Andrew, how are you doing, buddy? What do you got going on?
Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, thank you for hanging out with us.
Let me get it.
What is it? Today is Thursday, so I don't know if I'm going to do a Saturday stream. Honestly, I have no clue. I might get some writing in. I don't think Mary is doing a Saturday stream, either, because she's taking it easy because of her cracked rib. So please pray for her, wish her well to quickly recover for that. Thankfully, she's on light work when it comes to
you know how you can help Mary? You can go watch all of her old streams, get her that monetization, get her the money. I know she's monetized, so get her that money.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way. Sunday, I'll have my usual community stream. And then the usual streams throughout next week, High Council and all that. Make sure tomorrow you check out Good Mav Ugly, as long as you're actually having that show.
I definitely.
Everybody, there is 25 days left in Yaira 3. There's, I think, exactly 2 weeks left in Horseman 1. Saints and Sinners is off to a phenomenal start. It's
Let's see.
Up on
Yaira has 25 days and 2 hours, and Horseman 15 days.
I was off by a day. All right, I was off by a day. And then Saints and Sinners is doing extremely well for being in its first week.
Wait.
So make sure you check those out if they pique your interest. We've got a lot more coming down the pipeline at hypersonic speeds for you, so look forward to more.
So you guys are rocking, and obviously you've got work. What am I trying to say here? Obviously, you guys have been kicking ass. You're going to be kicking ass. I know you guys have a lot in the pipeline, so everybody, check out things from the RIPPAVERSE. Aside from that, check out everything Andrew's got going on. Check out boundingintocomics.com every day for new news. You can find links to everything we've got going on, from the RIPPAVERSE pre-orders to all of our social medias to Andrew's Twitch page in the description down below. Aside from that, you can come back same bat time, same bat channel next week and hang out with me and Andrew for another episode of Foil Variant, where we will, I don't know what books are coming out next week, but I'm sure we'll talk about something. I'm sure we'll find something to ramble about.
Comes out next week now.
Actually, yeah.
That out later.
yeah. We'll strategize. We'll get this all planned out. But until then, guys, go read some good comic books. Go have a good weekend, or almost weekend. And Andrew and I will see you very, very, very soon.
God bless and Godspeed, guys.
Take it easy.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...